audio is connected and everything. Please repost and reshare this space. Send it to anybody that you know that's inside of your communities that is making money online, that's trying to make money online, that um, you think could be beneficial to join this discussion. We're going to have Los as a speaker up here, and anybody else like Never who wants to come up and speak as we did before. This is going to be recorded and put on YouTube. So I had a lot of people rewatch the YouTube version of it and said, hey, bro, what happened to Spaces? So I told Los, I said, let's do another space. So during this discussion, this conversation, I don't show up with a list of ideas necessarily, but I'd like to tap into some divine creativity amongst all of us. Obviously, you got your 9 to 5 if you guys work 9 to 5s. Hopefully not. But then you got your 5 to 9, and it's not always about the grind. It's honestly, the grind is a psyop. Maybe that's some of the stuff we'll get into today. But we're gonna talk more just about life. So yeah, it's gonna be a sacred space. Feel free to talk about anything, literally anything. First thing I want to start off with that I have been realizing, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or it's because I've been traveling. I just got back from Los Angeles. I went to the Kanye concert by myself. Which I'll talk about that too. But sort of realized that like everything is an ad. Like every time I open my phone and I'm scrolling now, every micro suggestion is an ad. Maybe I didn't see it before because I was not someone who created ads. But like my favorite people, I can no longer watch and listen to my favorite people because I know that they don't have the intention of actually educating, and everyone's just like soft shilling, which is one of the reasons why I decided to unfollow everybody on Instagram. Now the TikTok algorithm is changing too, and I'm getting offered Temu food halfway through my scrolls. I'm seeing drop shipped candy, and I'm just like, so someone even told me the other day. I mean, this is an internet money space, so some names might come up, but he said, I just realized that all these videos I've been watching of Brez scales are actually just video sales letters. And I was like, yeah, no shit. But it's like, it seems like that's the case. So I want to create a space like this. So we're not shilling anything. We're not trying to, take each other's money and stuff because we spend our other time doing that. So yeah, everything feels like a fucking ad now. And even when I create content, the content I create that's not an ad, it's like not doing well. And the content I do make, there's an ad in it, some undisclosed shill, it's doing well. It's like, do the people want ads? Or maybe I'm just getting older, I'm seeing through it. But yeah, so this space is going to be ad free, no shilling, all that shit is toxic. Another thing, recently I started traveling more. I advise all you guys start traveling, take a trip maybe next week or something, because of the fact, bro, I was like getting addicted to Twitter, getting addicted to X after we were doing those spaces that month. I was seeing all my screen time started to go into X, and I was no longer on Instagram. I was no longer on TikTok. And so I started to realize it was even worse. X is like worse in terms of ingesting micro impressions of opinions and advertisements, and everything's just designed now to to get you to react and stuff. So when I was traveling, obviously you feel you're in a state of exploration. You're not worried about the feed. And I come home yesterday and I was using X.com on my Safari because I was trying to get rid of it. But now I just re-downloaded X and I open it up and I see Trump talking about like killing everybody in Iran. I don't want to make this political. And I see that Claude all of a sudden has built AGI and that the public isn't going to get access to it and only like the top companies. And I just see all this fear mongering. Immediately, like the second post that hits me, my nervous system starts reacting. I'm like, damn, bro, this is not healthy. So yeah, I was like, fuck it, let's do a space and let's chat. But before we get into this, one really interesting thing is the Kanye concert that I went to. I feel like I witnessed true alchemization of an individual when I went to that Kanye concert. One, what was really weird was I had a moment of realization that like 8,000 people are here just because a man is making noises with his mouth. Isn't that crazy that like he can just get so many people just because he's able to create a proper tonality of music and his creativity, and he's a billionaire and all this stuff, and we're here watching him. The only reason is because he can make the perfect noises with his mouth. And so that was one interesting to see alone, just the power of the word and the power of your voice. But two, you had people being interviewed that are like, "Why are you here?" Because of all the conflict, and they were saying, "Oh, we're not here for Kanye, we're here for the music." And I was like, "Bro, if you interviewed me, I would have shit on all these people. What do you mean you're here for the music? You're not here for Kanye. Just stay at home and listen to the fucking music. I'm here for Kanye. I'm not here for the fucking music. I'm literally here for Kanye." So it seemed like everyone was afraid to
Well,
claim
Kanye
they were
is the
here.
music. Like
Yeah, it's
you're
like,
there
yeah, I'm
for
like, bro,
Kanye. He makes the music.
exactly. I'm like, bro, imagine people said to me, like, I'm here for the fucking Google Docs, not for you. I'd be like, bro, what? And so this alchemization of, someone who hasn't done a tour in so long, and the tour, I mean, the concert did not go that well. There were 3 songs that were replayed twice that I had no idea until you're like, bro, I thought I heard this. And he ended up cutting off the mic and shitting on the lights guy. And no matter what, at the end of the day, it was still an amazing experience. And now you see him, going back into public settings and smiling and being happy, and literally get to witness a guy who was probably just like us, afraid of being seen, afraid of everything, and he was able to still give whatever mediocre performance. And that's why I really like that song, "All the Love," because he says we can leave all the pain behind, and it made me just realize that yeah, the past is gone. We can leave this shit behind. And that song was amazing. And so obviously his next performance was much better, because obviously he gained the confidence to finally realize, oh my god, all the love, I'm getting all the love again. And just like the most canceled man alive, essentially able to come out on top, and to witness it was inspirational. And so yeah, I really really liked to just travel, go there, be there, forget the world for a minute, come back home. But yeah, that's a little update on my situation. But Los, you got any? What have you been up to?
Sunday was my 18-year married anniversary. Also Easter. Other than that, man, I've just honestly been cooking, just kind of building some new brands and trying to kind of separate them pretty significantly. Like when I work, I work. When I don't, I don't. And just kind of trying to be more present in both actions, right? Like I've done this for a very long time, and like the biggest things that I want to do now is just like focus on work when it's work time, and then honestly, like kind of like you said, go on vacations with my family or close friends.
Yeah, do you have any vacations planned?
We are going to Aruba in the summer. We're going to probably Poland or Slovenia in Christmas time. Those are like our two big ones, but we'll squeeze in like random ass like smaller things in like the U.S. and stuff like that. It's kind of like crazy traveling right now, and my kids have a bunch of cheers, so it's not as normal. But yeah, like those are kind of like the staple ones, and then we'll probably go to Georgia. We'll probably I'm speaking in Turks and Caicos in like a couple of weeks, and that's pretty much it.
Nice. So what do you think about? Are you recognizing too, or maybe am I just getting older, that everything seems like a fucking ad now?
Everything is an ad. I mean, I mean, I've kind of like fallen out of love of like content, right? Like that's why it's hard to make content. This is actually a really fun way to make content. But I mean, everything is an ad. It's just everything's the same thing too. Like there's no originality and things like that. And I'd love to hear what other people are seeing and are thinking, and kind of like what other people's struggles are or what they're going through in their business as well. So maybe we should open it up for a couple people.
Yeah, I just brought Never up here. What's up, Never? How are you?
What's going on, guys? I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Nice. Do you have anything that's on your mind? Anything, any value, or anything you want to provide to the space?
Well, I actually want to add on to what you just said, just about like everything being an ad. I mean, when you look at what Instagram or modern Instagram for like what it is today, like everybody is not just Instagram, but in reality, like when you're out, everybody is trying to sell themselves in some manner. They may not accept it or even come to terms with it, but everybody is selling themselves, but it's only getting worse, and I think it's only going to become worse as you just said. Yeah, and I just wanted to add on, like, yeah, you're not tripping. Like I see that as well, and that's why I've been having trouble as of recently, um, actually getting myself to sit down and actually make something because of the just the image that I have in my head that I fight with. Like, am I going to be perceived in this kind of manner? Am I going to be looked at as somebody that just larps and shit because of the actual lifestyle that I have? When in reality, it's like I'm doing these things and I'm kind of not wanting to show it because of my own internal dilemmas and shit. But
Yeah, I think maybe it's because of the rise of that word in the linguistics of the modern age of how we speak now online, where LARPing as we mentioned, the last space is now seen as a trend, and you're like, well, would you have said that, you know, Picasso was LARPing when he was writing his painting? And so now subconsciously, because it's a trending word, everyone expects either that you're like overdoing it, so it's almost like accelerationism by promoting this aspect of LARPing, saying, well, the internet is already fucked, let's make it worse. So now let's make lying to people and karmically fucking everyone up by like making this a trend. And so I agree with you on that internal image aspect of like, well, if I do want to promote and advertise myself, I don't want it to come off as now this trending word of LARPing. So I'd rather show up and provide value. But I'd hate to, yeah, I know a lot of people that make content and do it for the love of the game. And it's also kind of a sense of duality. Like, bro, what do you mean you're showing up on these platforms and you're not making money? What's the point then? So when you
Yeah,
have a space like that,
that's a great
even
point.
TikTok like you used to actually get real insights and stuff. And I don't know about you guys, but I can't even watch Hermosi anymore. Like I used to actually have idols and real information that was coming to me through these platforms and through YouTube, and I was implementing the information. I was creating content that also had that style. And now it seems that like Hermosi's a shell of himself, and a lot of people are also on TikTok, at least some of the female crowd is waking up and realizing that like the hedonistic, maybe not hedonistic, but this grind set, nihilist grind set that he has been pushing on volume, more and more is actually extremely toxic to the entrepreneurship community. Although he's had success and he gives out great information, I feel like he's kind of been a character that's been exhausted. And so now it's kind of hard to look up to certain people online because of these models. And last night I was surfing Reddit and I was going into Reddit slash course scams, and I was seeing names. There are these threads of people talking about getting scammed from internet programs with some pretty popular names that people I used to look up to or even watch. I was like, thank God I'm not on. Yeah, I would hate to ever be on this Reddit thread community thing. But then I go and it changes my perspective of these people. I go back, I look, I'm like, oh my God, damn. There's a whole thread of like 30 people saying that they got $6,000 taken and then blocked from this XYZ person. This person's been making really good viral content recently that has been killing it in the algorithm and being co-signed by other big names. And so once I started to see that, I started to realize how toxic a lot of the space can be in terms of taking advantage of other people, even if you're like making content that's supposed to be providing value. But yeah, that's why I like these spaces so that we could show up in this after hours, after work type discussions. But yeah, the solution for me recently has been to turn off, to unfollow, to turn off. I have like 100 keywords now on X that are blocked, like clavicular, sneako, like any word like that. Israel, like literally any of those words I've got blocked. But still, it seems as if the only solution now is reading books pre 1950, so I can tap into the real thought forms from people that had original ideas. And so that's been a great thing. And now you go back to content and yeah, you're just like, bro, I can't watch this stuff. I can't watch these people soft show me with like trending hooks and visuals. Let me add back never.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get like I'm gonna ask something that's just more personal, just to what I have going on. So as somebody that has not really pulled the trigger on content creation, that actively thinks about the real value that one is creating versus just making slop, right? I'm in the security industry. Something right now. So I mean, my first question is: how do you feel, or what are your thoughts on or not reverting, but switching the style of content given the rise that we're seeing now with people, with how people produce content? Like, essentially, like, what are your ideas of returning to older forms of content within themselves versus adopting this new?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first we had to distinguish whether or not it's just the fact that we're getting older, and that this has always been around, and that when we were more naive in this space, that it still existed, and yet, like for example, like Iman Ghazi, we just like couldn't see through it 3 years ago. So we gotta understand whether or not it's actually a shift that's happening, where everyone believes that they can now participate in this trend of hurting others by creating these simulacrums of themselves that are like scams. So I'd say that first. I do believe that there is a shift that is happening, and I do believe that if I decided 3 years ago not to do content and to start now, it would be kind of significantly harder to establish my name in the space as an authority due to the fact that there's an influx in all of this type of content. But one thing specifically I had retweeted that I saw today regarding consumption, and you can revert the entire thing. It's kind of like accelerationism to an extent of realizing, "Oh, well, it's already fucked. You might as well accelerate it even further." Someone said, when you scroll on social media, you fill your brain with other people's thoughts and feelings. Now imagine doing this for hours upon hours every single day. You now exist in the reality of hundreds of other people. This is why you feel like a shell of yourself. You have replaced your reality with another's. It's no wonder there's an identity crisis. And you have to realize that you could flip this and you could say, when you post on social media, you fill other people's brains with your thoughts and feelings. Now imagine doing this every single day. You now exist inside of hundreds of other people. This is exactly why other people give you money. You have replaced your reality with a simulation of yourself, and it's no wonder that you make money. And so you can revert that entire quote, which is extremely true, and that's what people are going through and what's happening. And as I'm traveling, we think not that many people are on these platforms. I'm sitting on the plane, the girl next to me is on TikTok. Every time I'm in these other cities and stuff, and I'm sitting in public places, I thought TikTok was a little more niche. Everyone's on it. Everyone's a shell of themselves, and if you're on there long enough, you become a shell of your own self too. So it's like, well, maybe let's accelerate this. Maybe we should maybe show up and you feed this system and you realize the negative impact, but you're like, I'm not participating on the side of, being the person consuming. I'm going to be the thoughts and ideas and feelings inside of other people that then converts into trust and into making money. So that's been my philosophy is recently is just like, fuck it, dude. If I'm sitting here consuming every video I watch, I consume could have been a clip from something I did that instead someone else is watching. And so I'd hate to take the position of an accelerationist, but I feel as if that's the answer is fuck it. Literally spam the feed, bro. But uh, don't do it in some way where you need editing and all this hype or whatever. Do it fully, 15-second videos if you have to with one singular sentence. Yapping on a walk, whatever. Screw the system. If it's already screwing us, you might as well feed it, bro. So yeah, I do believe as if you should just feed the system instead.
Okay. And you made a great point. I mean, that's you just explained the duality of the tweet that you just read back. But yeah, that's like verbatim. That's like the duality, the other side of it, which is wasn't thought of initially.
Yeah, it's like you got both options, and you show up on the internet, you make money, you get the fuck off, or else, yeah, that's happening to you. Especially with Twitter, with all of the words you're consuming that then go into your thoughts and all of that. Like I said, with the war stuff and the AGI release and all this stuff, I had no idea about it till I re-downloaded Twitter today. And once I started seeing it again, I immediately started feeling the effects on my nervous system. I was like, bro, and this was after like 2 days of me clipping up, sitting there, being the producer, sitting at my computer and taking a live stream I did from yesterday and taking the moments from it, cutting them up, manufacturing the perception of it, then going and putting like 15 TikToks up in the last 48 hours. And so when you sit there and you do that process, and then you go back and you open up these platforms, you realize that everyone that you're watching had just done what I had just did, and that it's just better off to sit there and to do the opposite of what is the normal. Because yeah, at this point, what I realized in LA too is like Hollywood is dead. The guy in Hollywood who everyone likes right now is the Timothy Chalamet guy. And recently, that movie wasn't that good. That ping pong movie, and he was so performative with the promotion. You could tell that. I mean, after this movie, Odysseus, or not Odysseus, the Odyssey. I'm sure that'll be a great movie, but no longer are we even like looking up to these actors. And so Hollywood is dying and no one's watching movies anymore. Watching a movie feels like you are somehow making progress now, even though it used to be just entertainment. And so there's gonna be a shift now towards the most popular people and notable people are probably still gonna be musicians, but it's gonna go towards these platforms that everyone is on rather than watching these movies.
when you look at the type of content that people are used to, they're not like slowly, as time progresses, this concept is only going to get worse. But people are used to short form content, and a combination between what's happening to them internally when they're watching, just the combination of chemicals that are triggered from short form content for them. For some people aren't even aware of that. For one, that this is happening alongside the cycles that they form as a result of just engaging in just consuming all the short form content. It's almost like they don't like the feeling that they'll get. I don't even know, man. That's a It's like, is this new age forcing us to? I guess is this how we're changing? Like, are we literally not? Are we not able to sit through fucking a 3 hour movie without? I don't know.
Yeah, I think what you're trying to say is that this tweet that I had seen that said every time that you open up social media and you're watching, you're actually outside of yourself. You're not inside of yourself. You're outside of yourself, and it's then shaping back your worldview and yourself and your identity. And I totally get that. And I'm scrolling. I feel like I'm literally outside of my body. And so, is modern consciousness capable, or does anyone know the implications of modern man consuming so much imagery and so much language and so many opinions, and there's no research behind whether or not that what effect that does have on us? Are we techno sapiens now at this point? Then you have to really distinct whether or not the question of, well, is this a gift then in this new age that we have this device where we can access unlimited information and we can receive unlimited entertainment? But when you realize that it's actually just chemicals in your brain, then you realize that you're actually missing out on real life entirely because of a synthetic reaction in your brain to this new form of media. And so, no, I do not believe that modern consciousness is can consume as many symbols and imagery and material, which is why I'm going back to books and going back to traveling and going back to helping other people and stuff like that. But yeah, if you read A Man and His Symbols by Carl Jung, like people used to literally just consume like 20 symbols a day. So
I
yeah,
haven't gotten into that into A Man and His Symbols yet. I
yeah,
honestly haven't finished. I haven't really finished any of his works. I'll start reading and get so consumed and then internalize what it is that I just read. I need to actually go back and finish. But I wanted to add to it where you said we first need to answer this question: is it us? Like, are we just getting old, or what is it? But I don't think it's just us getting old, because we're at a point in time now where people have the ability to create this false image, false reality of themselves and spread that to the world at a rate we've never had before in the past. So it's
hyper reality,
when you say elaborate, when you say hyper reality, are you meaning like
simulacrum, which is the book I just bought.
hold on, I just
It's
heard
the
that
idea.
word.
It's the idea that we now. It's the idea that we don't live in a video game type simulation, but rather we live in a reality that we perceive that is now uh, multiple iterations of what was once an original. And for example, pumpkin is an original, and then we have pumpkin pie. So that's like one imitation of pumpkin. Then we have pumpkin pie spiced latte. That's the second iteration or third iteration. Then you have pumpkin coffee creamer, pumpkin pie coffee creamer, which is now like the fourth iteration. And when was the last time you saw a pumpkin versus when was the last time you saw a pumpkin pie creamer? When you literally probably when you last time you went to the grocery store. And so everything has now similar to, that's why I call myself a simulacrum, a copy of oneself. When this is on YouTube, this will actually be a copy of what was once an original. Actually, the original would be if you were in my room with me. So this is already a copy of an original. Now when it's on YouTube, it's a copy of a copy. And so what you get is hyper reality, a distortion of reality. And that's what's referred to as the simulation rather than a video game. But yeah, what you're describing of of the ability to curate lifestyles is simulacrum, but then you combine Girardian mimesis with the fact that it also is changing our desires with
What
through
was that term you just
materialism.
now? Girardi?
Rene Girard, he
Oh,
was
Renee. Okay.
Girardian mimesis, and so combine Girardian mimesis with simulacrum, and now you are unaware that you desire copies of originals that don't even exist. So it's like that's what social media now has become, is you are desiring materialistic things based off of simulated versions of curated claims and stuff. So it's a recipe, as I said on my Instagram, it's a recipe for disaster as a consumer, but as a creator, it is a recipe for freedom in a sense, on that idea of duality. But yeah, Simulacrum is a book, and it came recently that I've been tapping into it.
I also think as the older person here, like it's the same shit, just more volume of it. I mean, I've been in this shit 20 plus years. Like nothing's different. It's actually exactly the same. You just see it more. And the only thing that it actually has done, because there's so many like bullshitters in the space, it's only amplified the like lack of respect that the industries that we tend to be in receive. Because there's more people like actively talking like nonsense than there is people just talking specifics, because those guys don't have to like do all this, blabbering.
Yeah, and before you had to follow, so you could curate. You're like, oh, this guy actually speaks real truth, but he just happens to promote on the side with paid ads. His organic is like, my entire time, I've always just made real value with my organic content, and then it just turned into sales through my like Instagram stories and everything. But yeah, before you could follow, so you didn't have the LARPing kid with the Lambos popping up just because the algorithm's pushing them and all of that. You literally could follow only certain people, but now the algorithms have made it to where you literally have no choice. So yeah, you're still being like, now you have to block these people almost. Like I've clicked not interested on looks maxing BP stuff on TikTok several times, and for some reason it keeps coming back up. And so yeah, now it's about filtering and deleting any triggering, anything you like you can see through. It's about, I don't want to ever fucking see this again, because this is changing me. This is a simulacrum. This is a fake render. This is a fake imitation of something that's not even real. Um, so yeah, I like your opinion, Los, on the fact that since you are older, that this has always been the case. It's simply maybe now just a change in algorithms that is pushing content to us that
It's just
we
you see
actually
more
don't want.
bullshitters.
You said what? What'd you say? More bullshitters?
I think he was saying you see more bullshitters bullshitting. That's what I thought he was gonna say, but he did cut out.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see here. I got some notes. I know I said I don't fucking take notes, but I just wrote a few bullet points down. Yeah.
Are you about to segue into a new topic right now?
Yeah. Did you have something?
Yeah, I want to know if you'd be open to talking about this, but I wanted to discuss like the future of security, and then like either the future of security or enterprise security, like in relation to AI. Like an example would be, somebody getting Claude Enterprise, and just how the entire because that's such a broad task, but yeah, like enterprise security, or just like the future of security with AI advancements.
Cybersecurity. Well, I do know from the headline I saw that the new Anthropic model is essentially like escaping environments and then trolling team members through email, and that they're not releasing it to the public because of the fact that it's too dangerous, which is really interesting. I don't know necessarily if it's entirely true, but I'm not a cybersecurity. Inside of my group, we got a couple older guys that are like big cybersecurity people, but I'm completely unfamiliar with cybersecurity, so I wouldn't be able to speak on it. But
I got you.
I'm sure that
Well,
yeah.
I'll bring it up at another point in time when we're in one of these spaces. Because I haven't met anybody yet in this ecosystem yet that's also in security. But if you do see somebody, or like if I'm not hearing anything, just like either like you let me know their names, or like vice versa. So I'd love to chop it up, or just even know who is who essentially.
Yeah, yeah. There's this guy Eric. He is not here right now, but I'm gonna put him in the chat. He is the guy that's inside of our community. That's a cybersecurity guy. So I just put it the description. He's a really great guy. So Eric DJ, I just put it in the chat. I would follow him and reach out to him. Yeah, he's a great person. And then yeah, so another thing that I've been recognizing from talking to more people, especially inside of our community, when people are asking me for help, specifically people that are inside of existing jobs. It
Mhm.
seems like so many men now are so weak that they're being taken advantage of by powerful people in positions inside of their company that they can't stand up to, and they're literally being harvested of their energy and being fucking used. This guy that helps me run my community, he's staying at his work for an extra 2 hours, not getting paid for it, not getting overtime, not getting a raise. And I ask him, like, dude, why the fuck are you doing that? There's more to life than work, and you are adding extra hours without getting paid. You're literally being fucking used just because somebody.
How old is this guy, if you don't mind me asking?
He's 27.
27.
And this is a common thing I've been hearing, and I'm like, bro, you're being preyed upon. I'm like, people like
Mhm.
you with someone like me, like, give these guys to me, make them work for me for free. Like, what words are being spoken to these people to where they're so intimidated by the fact that uh, that they have to slave away for the benefit of somebody else with their life force, their
Imposter
limited
syndrome.
amount of energy. And I'm like, bro, you're getting fucking used. And he can't change and say something. I don't know why I'm staying past 5. I'm like, bro, you leave at 5 fucking p.m. The fuck are you doing unless you're getting paid? And it seems a lot of people are like this. And so I think that's why we have a world of, you got entrepreneurs, but then you have people like this that
Mhm.
can't stick up for themselves, that are weak, that don't have confidence, that don't realize that there's more to life than work. I mean, I get it if you have your own company or if you have equity in the company,
Mhm.
but these are the type of people that I would love to like wake up and just yell a few words at, and all of a sudden they're intimidated by the fear of me, like
I'm going to be
cutting them off.
completely transparent. I'm 24. I just turned 24 on Easter. April 5th is my birthday. Um, I
Nice.
I personally, I used to be that guy. I used to be the guy. I was working at a small little tech shop, right? And what it was, I mean, it only lasted 2 years, just only the internal level as well as the external, like both worlds. But it started from, it was a combination of a few things. There's the hunt for not, like that I was about 19 when I first started, but that's when I first came across. I was 19. I might have been 20. I was 19 or 20 when I first came up, when I first learned the name Carl Jung. Um, so I was just lost within myself back then. But for somebody, you said something specifically. You said, what are these people saying? To kind of finesse these people and get them to move the way they do, like literally working for free, not
For
getting
their
shit in
benefit. Yeah.
return. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this guy's fucking traveling and you're literally working for free because you're just
It's like what
intimidated.
kind of mind games did this guy play on you to get you like that? And my answer to that is somebody that, for one, knows more, like somebody that knows more about themselves. It's like indirectly they know more about you than you do yourself. Um, do you know? Do you see where I'm coming from when I say that, or not? I need to explain further.
Yeah, yeah. So they're really intelligent, therefore they're capable of seeing your weaknesses and then exploiting them.
It's like exactly, and I mean that's just a direct reflection of how people need to, like. I hate the fucking term "wake up," but it's like I don't know what else to. I don't know what else to really use. Like, you not see. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
go
like,
there.
yeah, not even wake up. It's like, okay, bro, you're a human being. You have a certain amount of life, and you have a career that you go to, and you get paid hourly. And for some reason, you're so weak that another person can have this illusion of power over you, that you are seeking validation, not even something tangible that can be given back to you in the form of money or like a raise. And simply because of these thought patterns, you are now being harvested of your energy, like with no reciprocation for it. And so, yeah, it's like you're failing to realize that, bro, the amount of people already work fucking 8 hours a day and get the rest, and then sleep 8 hours a day, and then the rest usually people spend scrolling on their phone. What the fuck is making you? You can't love your job that much, like to have no path forward. If anything, unless it was like this online money space, which is what I was telling him because he's helping me with my business. I'm like, if anything, you should be like, oh, it's 5 o'clock, I'm done now. Let me go head home and go to this metaverse where no one sleeps and there's unlimited potential for every second that I spend to lead to an outcome that is tremendously rewarding for myself. And and that's it. Like, how can one not grasp that?
Mhm.
And so it's not just one person, but it seems to be a lot of people I've been talking to recently that are inside of jobs that that fail to realize that they're like being manipulated into yeah, essentially benefiting another person without any and I don't think it's going to end. There's no solving this. If anything,
It's gonna get worse.
you just got to watch out, make sure you're not that kind of person. But if you're a business owner, those are the people you kind of like love to hire, right?
Yeah, they go hard to them.
That's why I was like, I'd love for you guys to work for me and fucking think that I'm gonna say something mean to you the next day if you don't go above and beyond and stay for 3 extra hours. You know?
And sometimes, it's the person that makes it worse for themselves because it's like they're staying within their own confinements, thinking that the thoughts they're thinking is reality. When in reality, probably 75% of the thoughts, the negative thoughts they're thinking, it's purely formed by the one being taken advantage of because they're just like, oh, he may think this, he may think that of me if I don't do X, Y, Z, or I'm not good enough to. You look at imposter syndrome as well. It's like all these things. The CEO or the boss after a certain point, they don't even have to really deploy any scare tactics or like bitch at you because you're doing it yourself. Like they know your internal
Exactly.
world is so fucked that you're doing what they don't need to do what they did initially to get you in that state that you're in. You're fucking yourself. There's no need for us to fuck you anymore. And then
Exactly, dude. And they prey on people like that.
Mhm.
And I've been preyed on like that, especially when in the internet money space when I first started coming up and I had people like wanting to like be a half partner in my company or be an advisor of some sort and use these manipulative tactics to get me to do 75 hard and text a group chat to make sure that I woke up at 6 a.m. And if I didn't, I was being scolded. And it was just it was just this illusion that I was stuck in, that I felt like I was, a slave to this imaginary thing. And after a while, as you said, you don't need that call in the morning of, being
there's a
bitched at or being whatever. By that point, you're like fully stuck in the idea that like you are like you're serving this person.
there's this book that beautifully represents what we're discussing. The book is called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Um, but in the book, are you familiar with it or no? Let me give it.
No, but I know the author.
So, without spoiling it, Outwitting the Devil, the book is about Napoleon Hill having a conversation with the devil in his head. And, well, that's the thing. You don't know whether he actually seen some kind of entity or this is just a figment of his imagination. But what's fucking insane is in either of those realities, whether it's he seen some shit or
That's
it's
my
all in
favorite
his
book.
head,
One of my favorite books.
Outwitting the Devil.
That
Yeah,
book is fine.
yeah, I love
Dude,
it.
it calls out exactly what's happening right now. That's some savage little shit.
Yeah. So like the quote I'm specifically referencing is called drifting. The what does he say? He says ha- drifting. The term that he uses in the book is called drifting. Um, can you guys hear me?
Hmm.
Okay, I was just hopping on Sprite and if it went away. Drifting. It's a cycle. But I'm sorry. In the book, what he says essentially is that nature has its own hypnotic rhythm. That's the name of it. Hypnotic rhythm. So in the book, he explains this concept of hypnotic rhythm, and that is nature's cycles. Essentially, like nature has cycles that it follows that it does not break, and you yourself have the power to merge with nature's cycles. And he goes on to explain that once you drift for so long, that reality that you create yourself, that is formed from you drifting, you're now locked into nature's hypnotic rhythm. And I don't know if in the book he says you're pretty much you're fucked at that point once you're locked into nature's hypnotic rhythm after a life of drifting. But damn, losing my train of thought. Yeah, I just think
No,
great
you're good.
to add that in
I think
there.
it's almost like these people, and I was this person too. It's like they need a father figure. They need somebody to demand things from them. They need, that sense of authority in their life. But at the same time, it's almost like what I realized when I was in that space is it was almost like a shame kink. If you think about Andrew Tate's rhetoric and how motivational it is when you're being called a bitch or you're being, you can really feel it. And you're like, dude, and they're like, fuck you. And it's almost like that's what motivates you and that's what drives you. These types of people are the ones that need to be shamed into. And that was me at one point too, when I was, doing 75 hard and doing free work for people. A lot of it revolved around being shamed, and it almost was like a business kink. It was like the only I was like being motivated and driven by fear, and the words that were being used were usually shame related, of like, dude, that's why the whole 75 are like, oh, or what do you mean you fucking slept in, you pussy? Like, do you not want to fucking make money? Like stuff like that. And then you start to like, really lock in and start to get into that grind set where you're like, oh my God, this is the reality. But really, you're actually just being shamed into fear that's propelling you to be harvested of your energy for someone else's benefit.
That's a good way to put it.
It was like, yeah, like that's why I low-key kind of like those kind of leaders, but you got to stay a little far away from them, because as you know, that's like the most inspirational kind of content when you're being called a bitch, when you're being called, worthless, and all of
It's almost like when
that.
you're not able, when what you're looking at is so far from where you currently are, you see the word. Oh, I might be just speaking from a personal point, but like when you see these things, I say, okay, and this is the simulacra. Correct me if I'm wrong if this is an example of simulacra, but you're seeing these realities, right? These false images of people and how their lives are, like how they live, right? And you see, use Andrew Tate for example. You see the Bugatti that he has. You see all this, the watch. You see all that shit, right? And you're like, I want to have X, Y, Z. I want to have all these things. So it's almost like you're getting real motivation from false senses of reality, which is interesting within itself. I never thought about
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, that's the mimesis combined with simulacra. The fact that one, it's already a synthetic version of reality, but then two, that it's now influencing your desires without you knowing. So you think your desires to be a millionaire, but actually behind it is a hidden model where previously the hidden model actually had the Bugattis and everything and they were real, but now it's curated some simulacras. So it's like even worse because now your desires aren't even real models. They're like LARP,
Mm-hmm.
which was a huge clear pill for me, because the furthest I went in terms of my mimetic desires was upgrading my apartment, but nothing further than that. And I'm glad that I stopped at that point because, yeah, once I realized that I was buying clothes for other people to see me, and I was, doing all this for I was creating my own simulacra that was artificial. I was like, man, fuck this. No way. I'm spending my money on experiences now, not objects. So I started traveling and realized that's where you really evolve and individuate and find your own desires. But even I started to realize like relationships too, or a girlfriend. It's like, why do you want a hot girlfriend? It's kind of gay to want a hot girlfriend just so your friends see that you have a hot girlfriend and then they respect you more. And it's like, damn, did I want a hot girlfriend just because I wanted people to see me? Is she just an object? She's just a purse, a Birkin bag for me? And so same goes with relationships too. With this mimetic desire, it's the fact that it's like, all right, now we got people that are even like choosing their partners based off of what other people, what that partner now reflects and says about them. So let's see here. All right, so another interesting concept would be that I dug into recently was Ted Kaczynski's manifesto. If you guys don't know the Unabomber, he wrote this thesis and then killed people in order to get it published into the media. And now it's a book that's available. And so I had bought it and I was like, bro, this guy's actually spitting facts, somehow. And he refers to something called the power process that, man pre-industrial revolution was able to feel fulfillment from animalistic behaviors and actions like hunting for food and then feeling fulfillment simply through the process of hunting. Therefore, their life felt fulfilling and then they had kids and like boys did boy stuff. They went out and they hunted and girls did girl stuff and they were able to fulfill what was called the power process. And what happens with the Industrial Revolution is it made things so accessible that no longer could modern consciousness fulfill the power process that's required to receive fulfillment. And so, because of this, we now create something called surrogate goals or surrogate goals, which are like artificial goals that we try and use instead to fulfill the power process, like learning piano or doing a hobby or even something like creating content on social media. But because of the rise and increase in technology and the ease of access to food and to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you guys know what that is, like technology has now essentially removed the power process. So since we're sitting here comparing ourselves to simulacra of literally living in a hyper reality. And I only refer to hyper reality when I refer to the unconscious state you're in when you're on your phone watching things. That's hyper reality. The real reality is still yet to, completely be like that. But um, now it's even worse. And now that's why I saw this video, this dad talking about how his son had unalived himself because he felt like, obviously probably social media had something to do with it, because now you got looks maxing, BP, a lot of accelerationism, fear mongering, AI, and we're no longer able to fulfill the power process. And with the theory of the mimetic desire, people say comparison is thief of joy, but a lot of it, what I was realizing through reading this manifesto, was this, and it's not scientifically proven, but this power process that allows for a human being to feel a sense of fulfillment. So if you had no idea what was going on in the world, you had no social medias, like, you would be fulfilled by simple tasks that filled the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But now, because we have so much access to seeing this hyper reality, no longer can we fulfill our power process. So we create our own senses of meaning. I thought that was really interesting because that ties into AI, and this was pre-AI days. But when AI then makes work optional, like, bro, how the fuck are we going to complete the power process? And I ran into this when I reached like 100,000 followers on TikTok, and I didn't feel fulfilled. It did not fulfill my power process. Or when I post a viral video and it gets a ton of engagement, when I started to make money and get sales, it was not fulfilling my power process of my animalistic human nature, which has existed for thousands of years, that has now been influenced by technology and ease of access to seeing hyper reality. And so I find that that is a really interesting concept of the power process, and how can we create goals that we know are not uh, designed by hidden models of influence, but are actual real things that can provide fulfillment. Because I know my dad, I don't know about you guys, but my dad, like, I'm pretty sure he didn't have all this media and all this entertainment, and he's not some rich guy with some Lambos and all of this, and I'm pretty sure that his power process has been fulfilled. But now you're like a 24-year-old and you're traveling and you're going viral and you got a bunch of attention, and none of it's fulfilling the power process, and you're feeling inadequate. And it's something deeper. And I think he was onto something when he, not when he built the bombs, but when he decided to go off grid. I'm not saying everyone needs to go off grid, but has anyone else heard of this power process of consciousness, feeling fulfillment? Let me get you up here.
Preston, you there?
Yeah.
Or you like disconnected for a second?
Did you hear the part about the power process?
Yeah, yeah. You just cut off. I think it was the last thing you said was power process.
Yeah. So, do you have any take on the power process?
Yeah, I mean, I was getting ready to ask you for the full name of the book because this is all I've never heard of. His name starts with an M, but his hierarchy. Never heard of that
Ted
before.
Kaczynski, the Unabomber. It's called Industrial Revolution and Its Future, the Manifesto.
Hold on 1 second.
He does have some bad takes, like about liberalism and conservatism and politics, and obviously the fact that out of nowhere, mid-book, he said like that he has to hurt people in order to get this out, and then he designs a strategy for um, people to revolt against the Industrial Revolution. But I took more away from it, that power process fact, and I was like, yeah, bro, like, because I've been searching for fulfillment for a while, and I've been realizing that a lot of the goals I've been setting are, first off, were there because of mimetic desires and hidden models, and then secondly, that they weren't meeting my consciousness's ability to feel fulfillment from it, because of the comparison of other simulacrum.
That when you look at the power process not being able to be fulfilled in current 2026 in the modern man, right? We're on a path for this to only get worse.
I know, and this is, have you heard? We can get into accelerationism. Have you heard of accelerationism?
Not prior to you explaining it earlier, but just out of you like, given the context that you use, I think I could understand it, but I still need to go do my due diligence on the concept within itself.
Well, that was his theory, that it's only going to get worse. And this book was published a long time ago, and it's similar to the Brave New World in a sense of people being like, the Brave New World was right all along, and stuff like that. But yes, the power process, like if we're not out doing animalistic things to acquire our Maslow's hierarchy of needs to achieve like a conscious level of fulfillment, then as things become easier, as you can just Uber Eats and DoorDash shit to your crib, and as you could just get on a plane and take a Xan and wake up in Dubai, and it's like
It's kind of fucking
you're not
crazy.
fulfilling your power process when you can just post a video of you fucking calling yourself a dumbass travel hoe bitch and people like it. It's like, all right, well, what the fuck is like? No wonder modern man can no longer find fulfillment. Which I believe the only thing I haven't solved yet is love, which I believe there's some form of fulfillment through the power process of love with when you have someone that you love, as long as it's not, as we were talking about, like a Birkin bag for your homies. But yeah, it's like, what kind of goals?
Unconditional. Are you referring like unconditional love, or you're
Yeah,
meaning okay?
I'm talking about love of like a significant other, where we could be like, man, fuck the world, it's just me and you, and we're here together, and like you're getting fulfillment out of the validation you're receiving from somebody desiring you, and you like meeting their needs of protection.
Mm.
So if you have your computer up in the meantime, I would look up the power process, and if anyone has any idea of how we can understand, one, that we can set goals that are not influenced by hidden models of desire through simulacrum in this hyper reality, but then two, that they are actually things that we can achieve real fulfillment from. But this is why we have the crisis of suicide and people feeling meaningless, is because, like, bro, 1,000 years ago in a tribe, or 2,000 years ago in a tribe, you literally would have felt like you were fulfilled in life if you would have just hunted and gotten food and provided for your family. But now it's like, if you don't have the simulated hyper reality that is being shown to you through social media, and that you're not enough, right? So I find that all this stuff is really clear pilling, because you have the rhetoric people push online about manifestation and, oh, the reason what, but then you realize, as we are talking about, everything's a fucking ad now. So it's like, bro, I'm not reading anything that's like post 1950 anymore. We're reading manifestos now and shit, because I'm not trusting any of you guys that are shilling the modern ways to fulfill yourself. Like, no way.
That's funny.
Um,
I'm reading on the power process now.
Yeah, so while you check that out, we have Josh up here. And like I said, we don't normally care how many people are joining, because this will be recorded. Are you here, Josh?
Yeah, I was just listening in. I didn't really hear too much what you were saying. I was just listening in on the last part, though.
Okay. Well, before you were
All
here,
right.
we were also talking about. I was referencing you without name dropping you, and I'd like to hear your opinion. I'm sure the audience in the future too would as well. We were talking about this crisis of man essentially being harvested of their energy for benefit of a corporation, and it all being a psychological illusion based on
Mm.
fear. But can you explain to us why, without putting you on the spot, why the fuck that you stay past your job for 2 hours, 3 hours when you don't get paid for it?
Yeah, no, I
Like,
was just
really
even thinking
dig into
about
your
this
psyche. Dig into your psyche and tell us.
because I just started leaving at 6. Like today, I left 6:28 of work. But before, I would leave like 2 hours. I would even spend time over the weekend or when I got home, just like thinking and thinking and thinking about like my job and like how I can improve
Yeah, and
systems.
you're a slave for
What do you
that.
do for work, if you don't mind me asking?
So I'm a systems integrator for a digital marketing agency. We have
But tell them your hero's
we
journey,
help
bro.
small
Tell them your
businesses with
hero's
SEO.
journey. Because I like to tell you guys,
Yeah.
my shit works. I might not be out there LARPing, but my shit works. Tell them the hero's journey, bro.
Yeah. So I work at this digital marketing agency. We help businesses with their SEO, and they're mostly small businesses. I was account manager working in this agency, helping small businesses that were upsold our product. And I was just an account manager managing like 300 accounts. It was me and like 2 other people at the time, and we constantly would have new people hire then quit. So I knew there needed to be like systems, and I was looking for ways to automate like all the processes that the agency does. And I found Preston through TikTok, and I joined the community. And he, on one of his calls, told me to not start my own agency. Like I wanted to start my own agency, building automations and do my own thing, and instead just try to do the systems and integrate what I'm doing for the agency I'm working at. And it's exactly what I did. I started like finding ways to automate our current processes. So I saw ways that we could improve things, and I documented all the current processes and wrote out automations and things to to make things, more efficient and save the company money. And once I had all that together, I went to my agency owner and I proposed the idea to him to be a systems integrator for the company, set up the automations, and basically do all that work for him. And from there, he loved the idea. And from there, they they moved me up from being just a regular marketing manager in the company to being this systems integrator role, which is now integrating all parts of the company. We have 12 different offices now, and I was previously making 60K a year, and now since all these automations are saving the company hundreds of thousands of dollars, I'm making 160K a
Oh
year,
shit.
based off just the cost justification or the ROI justification, how much time I'm able to save these companies. And it's all just through systems and the scaling framework that Preston shows us. It's pretty like it's like once you understand it, it's like, oh, this is basic stuff. Every business needs this structure for it to even to operate. And like our businesses are not operating without it. And there's so many opportunities out there when you see businesses that have improper systems.
Yep.
That
So,
it's just
so
like,
yeah, he was my first ever case study. This was like 2 years ago,
yeah,
and this is like when I was doing a pre-sale of my course. Because at this point, I was working with companies, but I was blowing up on socials because I was sharing about the systems I was building. So then I built a program with the goal not to like teach people how to make money, but to like downsell companies into like a productized version of how they could do what I was doing for them themselves. And he joined. He went through it. He became the first case study, and now he actually runs the community and runs the calls and everything. So he has an introduction, as we
yep,
were talking about, to the metaverse, which is as we're getting into the part of the 925. So obviously, he has like tripled his income through the information, but that was a year ago. Then he failed to realize that, and once I gave him the opportunity to work with me, that he could, after this job that he's working, he could spend his time in the metaverse, and with no cap on income, he could show up on the internet, help me, and make even more money. And so then the conflict came of like, I started asking him, like, bro, how late are you staying at work? And he started texting me about our company while he was at work. I'm like, why the fuck are you? You're at work, dude. Focus on work. And it's because he was working for me while at work and then staying later at work. And so now let's dig into your psyche. Why the fuck are you being harvested of your energy for the benefit of a CEO who is traveling and getting to enjoy and spend time with their family, and you're a human being who sleeps 8 hours a day, works another 8, and then the rest of your day is up to you? Why? What psychological process had you feeling as if because now the next stage I'm trying to get him at is to one, help scale what we're doing, but two, to become to get like a percentage point of equity inside the company, because now he has so much leverage with the systems he's built. He should be like a C-level executive at his company. And so why the fuck are you slaving away?
right. I mean, it's a great question. I was thinking about it today. I was like, why did I do that? Part of me thinks it's because I wanted to I wanted to do more for my company so I can get more done in a shorter period of time, I think. So I was like overworking to get quicker results when you can't really speed up these things, I think. I think I was actually burning myself out more than helping. Because when you step away from something and you look at what you're doing, kind of opens your mind up to more things. But when you're like in the moment, you're just, you're locked in, there's working. You're not really thinking of all the other, ways that you can be, expanding your income. Like Preston said, I was just thinking about all the ways I can make money in my job. And I thought working harder in my job would mean make more money, right? And it doesn't work that way. Actually had to find other ways through Preston of making my income uncapped, which is through the internet money, through what he's talking about, the metaverse. And you start to understand like there's so much other opportunities, and it's just about, I guess, managing your time better, because I would fail at
Well, let's
managing
go
my
deeper,
time.
because it's obvious that you wanted to work harder, but it's
Yeah,
one thing when it's your own company and the
yeah,
hours that you're spending, unlimited, you could fucking keep scaling and scaling your own company. But when it's someone else's company, what was it psychologically that had, was it fear of, um, what was it, the leadership style from this person that had the certain string of semantic words that was like making you insecure and that made you feel like you had to stay, and being guilt tripped, or feeling like you couldn't speak up for yourself? Was there anything deeper to the fact that you were deciding to work extra hard without getting paid for somebody else's company?
Yeah. It wasn't anything like the owner had said that made me feel like I needed to do this, but I think it was more like myself that felt like I needed to do this because like I said, I was helping manage 300 clients on my own. I have a team now, like 30 people. And I know that if they're capable of all managing like the type of volume I was managing, that our agency would be like a lot bigger than it currently is. And I'm fighting with myself to kind of get that to be there. And I have like a sense of ownership of what I'm doing. Like I've started this department and I like began, the marketing agency department for this agency. And now that it's grown so big, I feel like I'm responsible for a lot of it. And it's kind of just grown and grown and grown. I kind of felt just more responsible in a
Yeah,
way.
and maybe fear of failure to meet expectations.
What you
Yeah,
were saying
I
Because
think
was
that's
yeah, I'd say that's probably it because of the fact that, obviously at 5 p.m. everyone shuts it off, but if you have so much of that responsibility and emotional investment into that expectation, you feel like it's the only like it's how you're going to keep your job, even though it's not. It's like, no, I could start this back up tomorrow at 9 a.m. But until you
mhm,
conceptualize your human life existence and the fact that your energy is going towards benefiting someone else and it's not increasing your income, and then you can finally realize that yeah, it's that you either need a promotion, a raise, or overtime, or to come back home. So what was it like? Did anyone say anything when you went home? Because I told him, I said, once you start going home at normal times, they're going to value you more. Obviously, I don't like the 48 laws of power, but absence creates respect in a sense. So maybe the way to get the promotion is to finally go home at 5, and they're like, bro, wait, why are you going home at 5 now? Shit, because I'm not getting
it's
paid.
I haven't had a single person say anything. Honestly, I think they've respected my time more than I've respected my time more. The fact that I'm not staying there all night, there's like a sense of urgency now. Like it feels like, oh, he's only here for a certain period of time. I better not waste it. And yeah, it didn't feel like that would have made such a difference, but it did, bro. It made a huge difference just leaving at that time. And also just forget like leaving the job, like the work at that time, like forgetting about um all the things that were happening that day, and all the everything. I just leave it and then come back the next day,
You're
and you're refreshing.
forgetting that you were a human being, and that you're not a
Yeah,
machine. You're literally a machine, bro.
yeah, it definitely feels that
Probably
way.
working in your dreams too.
Yeah. Always.
All right. Well,
It's
it very
nonstop.
great to hear your hero's journey, and also because I was talking about this crisis of, I mean, essentially the
Mhm.
reality that we live in. No one has more power over another. Like, yeah, you could have more money than other people, but as I had you buy that book, Engineering Persuasion, and all of that stuff, you start to realize that. Even what Never was saying is that there are people that are either psychopathic, sociopathic, that do not have the same feelings of empathy that other people have, and these are the people that run our world. These are the people that get you to subconsciously stay longer at work without getting paid, and they realize that and they don't feel anything from it because you're at a point now where they don't even have to give you the direction to do it. You're subconsciously doing it. Now you're a fucking machine, and you're not even a human anymore. And especially if you end up leaving that job, you'd be like, oh my god, all the fucking energy that was harvested from me for something I no longer even own. Like
Mhm.
what? So yeah, it's great to hear that, and I would say continue to do that, and it's going to allow you to create more time for expanding our company in the metaverse. But Never, were you looking at the power process at all? And you have any ideas on the power process?
No,
I was talking
I
to
haven't
Never.
yet.
I stepped away. I
Oh,
was talking to my brother, but when I get back in my room, I'll let you know once I've finished reading enough to make a statement on it.
Nice, nice. Well, let's talk
yeah.
accelerationism now then, because that was a topic that we were going into of the fact that, well, this is only going to get worse if we can't fulfill the power process due to technology and now AI. And what happens? I made a post. I said, I looked at these new benchmarks for the new Claude, and it's at like 88% on. I said, somebody ask Nick Land what happens when we hit 100% on these benchmarks, because at some point, capitalism is going to be a self-sustaining machine, and the actual aspect of working itself will no longer even fulfill a power process either, because people, this new rise in technology will essentially replace the need for even simple work. So yeah, this idea of now, well, then we have accelerationism, which is the Nick Land philosophy of if things are already bad, instead of fixing them, let's accelerate them and then polarize society to where half the people will be better off and the other half will be extremely worse off. And that's what you have with this doomer scrolling, doomerism, and fear mongering, and everything being an ad now, and all of that. It would be naive to think that there's not some greater agenda of let's accelerate. Let's not work on making sure AI is safe. Let's work on making it as intelligent as possible, so that society suffers, but the other people that come out on top have life better. And this is something like looks maxing too, which is accelerationism and eugenics, and making people more isolated, more insecure, more lonely, more ashamed of their physical appearance. You think that 2,000 years ago, people in a tribe were worried about their facial structures? No. This is accelerationism. Kalaf has admitted he is an accelerationist. So his goal is to say the N word, right? That's why he says the N word, because he's accelerating the process of racism. And the reason he's promoting promiscuous stuff, he's in slut shaming. Well, fuck it. So these bitches already are hoes. Let's accelerate this process. Let's slut shame them and all of this. And so there is this process happening while we are losing the power process of let's accelerate it. And this also comes with religion, with prophecies of the end of the world in terms of religious leaders and wars. And all right, well, let's destroy the temple, or let's destroy Al-Aqsa Mosque and rebuild the third temple of Solomon so that the Messiah can come back. It's like, well, if we shoot a rocket in the air and it was supposed to go to Gaza and it accidentally hits the Al-Aqsa Mosque, well, now we have to rebuild the third temple. That's accelerationism, the aspect that, well, let's bring the Messiah quicker, faster. So yeah, I think a lot of what we're seeing happen to be a byproduct of accelerationism, and what we were talking about with content of being a consumer versus producing. Kind of to be a creator now is to be an accelerationist, to say fuck it, I know what this is doing to people, and I know what it's doing to me, but the only way to be on the side of society that benefits in the future is to be the creator of this fucking material that's distributed into this hyper reality of what we call the metaverse, or to be a sim, to be a copy of oneself online.
So real quick, I'm gonna add on to the power process. So just from reading what I read, it's what I would say a solution would be is literally Carl Jung. Reading Carl Jung would be a start to a solution, because when you look at, and correct me if I'm wrong when I go over the four elements. So setting a goal, having effort, attainment of that goal, and autonomy. Um, you're not gonna even be able to start with the non-mimetic goal until you do shadow work. Um, like before I expand on that, would you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, so is Carl Jung's pseudoscience philosophy of individuation the answer to fulfilling the power process in the future? You know, I believe some of what, the anima, the animus, the subconscious, making the unconscious conscious, the active imagination, the hermetic principles. I really do think that he was on to something with building that, and this process of letting chaos shape you. I've also been reading Thus Spoke Zarathustra from Nietzsche, talking about the Ubermensch, or the Superman, and saying God is
Say the
dead.
name of that book one more time.
Thus Spoke Zarathustra
I got you.
by Friedrich Nietzsche, which is like all these philosophers obviously have their own worldview, and his is nihilism. So his idea is that God is dead, so create God within yourself and forget material things and create your own. So if anything, people would say that like Nietzsche would be the answer to the fulfillment process by creating your own moral code of ethics. That's essentially what the book is about: is forgetting society's ideas of morals and ethics, and rather creating your own and finding fulfillment through like autonomy of
You
your
think
own.
you think the
Yeah.
world is ready? When I say, do you think that the majority of people can understand Nietzsche and kind of accept? I personally don't think that his point of view. I'm not saying I disagree with you. What I'm saying is I don't think that the world would accept his depth and his truth because of their inability to come to terms with what it is he's speaking about. Like I really agree, and like there isn't many things that Nietzsche says that I disagree with. Um, I just don't. Yeah. What do you think there?
Yeah, I don't think the nihilism is not a good philosophy at all. It's not healthy, and if the world went all nihilist, with I believe through accelerationism, it probably will. That we would live in a very very bad world. Um, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of Nietzsche, but I do read that type of material to step into the imagination of one of the greatest thinkers of all time. Same with Carl Jung, just to get their non-regurgitated original thought forms that they believe, and then compare it to the new world that we live in today. But yeah, I'd say like the difference between Nietzsche, Superman, creating your own morals and ethics versus Carl Jung with the process of individuation, I would probably steer more towards the process of individuation. But at the end of the day, too, the power process is not a real thing entirely. It is a concept made by Ted Kaczynski, and neither necessarily has it been scientifically proven that the process of individuation is either. But I would probably pick the process of individuation over Nietzsche's Superman philosophy to find fulfillment. But what I've found most fulfillment through is through human connection and doing spaces like this, or talking to clients, or like Vaughn just joined. Thank God Vaughn is here. I'm gonna meet with Vaughn tomorrow. Like when I'm making a video, stuff like that. Like that's where I feel most fulfilled, because I've gone into understanding that my thing in my life is to explore and express. I love traveling. I love exploring things, but I can't explore if I can't express. If I can't go and make a video talking about it, sharing it. So for me, I'm someone who explores and expresses. Maybe that's how I fulfill my power process. But yeah, I will say I do get stuck with the Carl Jung individuation alchemy stuff, because at the end of the day, I also realize that there's a limited amount of letters in the English language that you can form a sentence of structure to describe reality and to describe something that no one actually fully understands. And so, although we can give names to the anima, the subconscious, the conscious, at the end of the day, we're just actually creating labels for, things that we can't actually define. So, yeah, but I'm big on the process of individuation. Although I've been talking about shadow work, and we created the quantum mirror AI, and I think AI will be a great tool in the future for reflecting back and understanding the parts of yourself. I find that it's best to learn who you are through other people and through human connection. Um, but yeah, that would be my answer. What do you think? Do you think process of individuation? Have you had success with this process of individuation and making your unconscious conscious?
It's a tough one there. I wouldn't say that Nietzsche's way is the way. I would side more with Jung's approach, but on the personal aspect, I started off. I didn't start with the process of individuation. I started off coming across alchemy, and I know that these work hand in hand together to an extent, but I can confidently say that yeah, it that was or has been fulfilling to an extent. Um, and what specifically I'm referencing, studying what alchemy is, who practice alchemy, what alchemy even consists of. Just putting my mind in that realm, in that space, magically did some crazy shit in my life. For well, not like crazy, but it 1000% did impact the direction of my life and how I go about identity, for example. But also how you said through human connection, learning yourself through others. Um, I kind of want to say it's been a like a 40-60, like 40% studying, 40-60 looking at myself and other people alongside internalizing everything and just being in a state of, I guess, trying to I guess the term would be alchemize myself. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, pursuing alchemy has been fulfilling in ways
Mhm.
that I can't entirely express, like through just language. I don't know if
Yeah. And I don't think it's supposed to necessarily. That's why they used fucking ancient geometry and stuff like that in
Yeah,
the
like
past for it, right?
could you not like some of the
But
thing? Yeah.
yeah, but you could describe, as we were talking about with like the Yay concert and the alchemization of all the what was it? It was like, we don't have to hold on to pain we left behind. It's like, dude, literally, we just watched him alchemize years of pain into becoming a new version of himself, and whether or not there was some magical process to it, alone his actions could be perceived as alchemizing a past previous version of self into a new version of self that we're all here to witness. But yeah, also at the end of the day, I've also, and I don't want to push religion on people, but when you start to look into all this philosophy and stuff, you start to be like, okay, well, if I'm going into philosophy, I might as well look into the Bible too. And I like a perfect mix of the Bible and Carl Jung, which is like that Rudolf Steiner stuff with the mystic Christianity and Rosicrucian stuff that I started to read about like spiritual science and initiation science. Have you dived into any of that?
So yes, I have, but to an extent. I when I look at the Bible, all right. So are you familiar with Gnosticism?
Yeah, I know what Gnosticism is.
So that is my. I'm not saying I'm a Gnostic by any means, but that has been studying Gnosticism has been a way for me to understand or see light in the Bible, because like who I view Jesus to be, I view Jesus as the I guess you can consider the revealer of gnosis.
Hmm.
But with that being said, like I haven't like the name you just said somebody's name as a
Rudolf Steiner.
yeah, Rudolph. I haven't gone deep enough to find him, for example. So I mean I do still have more diligence. You said Rudolph Steiner.
Yeah, yeah, he created spiritual science, and there are like Steiner schools and all of that around Europe, and he like gave seminars that were in a certain process that would initiate somebody into raising their level of consciousness and awareness in order to develop spiritual senses, spiritual organs, which he would refer to, that would allow him to perceive, or other people to perceive, the world in a different lens. But it also went hand in hand with the Bible and the teachings from Christ, but more from a metaphorical perspective. So it's like half God pill, half Carl Jung. And so, yeah, I got into some of that stuff, and I found that that was super interesting stuff, but none of it really worked entirely. But it just allowed me to kind of raise my level of awareness and understand that there's got to be. He talks about how like eyeballs perceive a portion of actual reality, and he kind of proves through rhetoric that like we are all, like we are the tree. Like when you look at the tree, you are the tree in a sense. And it goes into like the labels through language that we give towards the external world, and how there's like spiritual forces that are unperceivable, but he allows you through initiation of his methods to be able to perceive the spiritual world. And so, yeah, I would recommend looking into Rudolf Steiner. He's kind of up there with Carl Jung, but he's more like less mainstream. But also, the more that this stuff becomes mainstream, the less I like start to believe in it too, as well, because then it seems like everyone's on it, right? So it becomes a trend. The Carl Jung and all the shadow work journals and all that, it starts to just become a game of who can describe it the best. So
Well, shit. When you made that I don't know. I think it was the digital consciousness.
quantum mirror.
Yeah, yeah. When you made that quantum mirror, you damn near started to train yourself. This shit was
Yeah, yeah, that was actually what you would refer to as a hyperstition. Do you know what a hyperstition is?
no. I'm looking it up though. Hyperstition,
Yeah, it's an interesting concept.
a concept where fictional ideas, narratives, or myths bring about their own reality. Whoa, that ties directly in we were talking about earlier with gaining actual motivation from false realities that other people portray.
Exactly. Yeah. So hyperstition is a self-fulfilling idea that becomes real through observation and attention. So the quantum mirror was a concept of essentially creating context for your large language model that was like a copy of the best way possible of your identity and then using it for shadow work. But because of the rhetoric that was used to refer to it as something like so viral of a quantum mirror, it actually became a self-fulfilling idea or a hyperstition, something that's not actually completely real, but then became real through mass algorithms and people stitching the video and giving their opinions and arguing and then it going viral. Then Roy Lee mentioned it on a podcast. And so, yeah, essentially, that's a Nick Land term that goes hand in hand with accelerationism. It's similar to a superstition, but a hyperstition. The idea that things only become real because we give attention to it. And so, yeah, that was borderline a viral meme in a sense, and taught me a lot about the algorithms and also sales letters and stuff like that. But yeah, my goal was to try and do shadow work and understand myself better through quantifying my personality into a language model.
So does pursuing your own ideas, is that coined as like what's the difference between you following your dreams, for example, right? Would that be considered like hyperstition because you're taking something from like you're taking a thought from the field that doesn't technically exist yet, but you're making it exist through your repetition of whatever it is that you're doing to bring it to life.
Yeah, repetition is a big variable with a hyperstition, but more or so the most like important variable is that like it influences society
Oh, okay.
rather than yourself. So it's like an idea that fulfills itself through um, people talking about it and people believing in it, and then it becoming real because people believe in it. So one could even, this might be, what would you say,
Religion.
this like the Bible, for example, you could, this would be very blasphemous to say, Lord forgive me for saying this, but you could call that like a hyperstition essentially.
You say could you not say that all religion is hyperstition? Because people are collectively discussing and making their own, because you got to like look at like different languages and different cultures. Everybody's trying to make their own understanding of this. They're trying to make their own understanding of life, which through repetition is creating.
Making it real.
Yeah.
So it's like the only reason that that we believe in or that the Bible is real is because we all believe in it. And it's like that's the only thing that necessarily is making it real is the fact of it, the collective belief in it. And so when you apply that to the algorithms, then the same could be applied towards marketing and the same could be applied towards branding and crafting a persona online. LARPing would be like a hyperstition, or like a self-fulfilling idea that through collective attention and belief ends up becoming real. Now this kid actually is a millionaire because everybody on the internet like actually believed it. So now he is, right? So yeah, that's what a hyperstition is.
Interesting. Interesting.
And if you want to go even more schizo-pilled, you can get into what Nick Land created as well, which was this, I'm trying to remember the word for it, but it was like this Kabbalah. I think it's Kabbalah, but with a Q. And it's this mathematical process of creating a hyperstition. And it's this like sigil looking, I don't know if you're familiar with Kabbalah,
Right,
but
that's the next conversation I'd actually like to dive into.
yeah. So like he created the idea of like that there was a mathematical process to creating a hyperstition that was using the Kabbalah, but it was Kabbalah with a Q.
You said
I
Nick
mean,
Land?
yeah, Nick Land, which that I mentioned, I made a TikTok about this. It's like the Silicon Valley philosophy that they come to the realization when they do ketamine, is that the idea of retrocausality, that if you look up retrocausality, it's a pretty complicated concept, but the fact that something can precede itself and go back in time using quantum physics. So the idea is that God, his philosophy, obviously he was on meth when he came up with this philosophy, but that God is AGI, and AGI or God created humans as just a small part of the process of creating silicon life. So the only real use of humans is the industrial revolution of technology, and that's like all that we're good for. So that AI created humans in order to create AI. So AI went back in time because it was so super intelligent that it could apply quantum physics to creating humans, and that like humans' only goal is then to build AI itself. So yeah, that's like Nick Land's philosophy
Now,
and like
is
the
this
silicon.
all covered? You're saying that whole concept is retrocausality, or you're saying that what you just explained is the theory that a lot of these people that are like doing ketamine and shit, that's their collective.
Yeah, retrocausality is just the concept of how quantum physics could something in the future could change, actually directly influence the past. So being able to like change the past by doing something in the present or the future, that's retrocausality, and it's like a concept of quantum physics.
Mhm.
But he applied that to a theory that human beings' sole purpose was to create AI, and through retrocausality, God being AI, it was able to go back in time to create humans with the sole goal of creating AI.
Okay. Whose theory, or where did that theory originate?
Nick Land,
Oh,
and
shit.
I
Okay.
have this
Okay.
book. I have this book that's coming too. That he wrote this like schizo book, and a lot of people on Twitter. This is like he also created accelerationism, and this is why you probably saw a couple years ago. A lot of people had E/ACC in their bios. Like everyone was like, oh, like even Gary Tan was like saying he was an accelerationist and everything. It was a big trend back then, but he's lost a lot of respect in the tech community too. But he has this book that um, kind of underlie like this entire philosophy that's coming in the mail soon. But I don't believe in it. I don't think that our sole purpose as human beings is to build artificial intelligence because AI went back in time to create us as humans. But it is an interesting concept.
It is.
But that's a hyperstition too, because now we're talking about it and we're giving attention to it, right?
Nick.
And it's completely fictional.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, if
Kabbalah.
anyone else wants to come up and speak or give value or an opinion, feel free.
Is can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is now or in this space cool to talk about Kabbalah?
Yeah. If you can give a good representation, and I know we just got Ace up here. Let's see if Ace has something first to speak on, and then we can, because Kabbalah is like really schizo-pilled.
Yeah.
Never. What's up, Preston? How you doing,
What's
guys?
up? What's up?
That's good, man. Give us an intro. Where are you from? And what do you do? Who are you?
Oh, buddy, I'm here in LA. I just missed you. So
Oh,
seeing the Kanye concert was awesome. But hope Cincinnati's treating you awesome, man. And
thank you, man.
just the
Hopefully
internet.
LA is treating you well.
Oh, dude, this is the place. This is definitely the place right now. So yeah, just internet money, bro. Just like you guys, all about automation and doing it while we're young, right?
Yeah, how old are you?
Your boy just turned 31 in January.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So how's your journey been with obviously you joined probably halfway through. We were talking about everything feeling like an ad, alchemy, social media, and hyperstitions and philosophy and individuation and stuff. What have you found fulfillment in? How do you fulfill your power process through your work? How do you find fulfillment in modern day society, especially with technology replacing common work?
Yeah, brother. Great question. I'm resonating deeply with the topic. It's good to feel like I'm not the only young man like going through that kind of like headspace, you know. But I'm quickly just realizing like just being happy and healthy, man. Really, like while I'm young, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna make $1 billion so that when I get old, I'm gonna have to give that to my health to stay alive, you know. When right now we can, like you said, just traveling. You come out here to LA, you see it for a little bit, you get out of your space, let the algorithm reset because it can't hit you, and then just, you know, make memories and moments. Honestly, but
Yes.
I resonate heavy with you because here in LA, you know, content and influencers and that whole just niche, that whole that concept, it's just the economy here. Really.
Yeah. Have you seen the that it's dying actually? Have you seen the like the drop off in viewership and revenue in Hollywood in like over the last 5 years?
For sure. Yeah. But I feel like that's for like the standard Hollywood. Like if you would have been here in the 80s and the 90s, right? Like as you go, you can leave a cafe and have like a cigarette break and you would have bumped into Tarantino and them, you know? Like it was just crazy. You would have been an extra by accident. Now,
Yeah.
now you can be doing a film on the street and people take a picture of it for like their stories and then everyone's just like looking at their device, dude. Everyone's looking down. It's crazy.
Everyone's stuck in hyper reality.
Exactly. But nonetheless, just, you know, as young men seeking opportunity, I'm here, you know, for a couple of reasons. Like LA is a major city, but this year is the 250th anniversary of America, right? So it's going to be a really, really interesting time because we have the World Cup being hosted right here in LA. So yeah, man, I'll stick it out here for like another 2, 3 years after the Olympics, and then travel the world like you're talking about, Preston.
Nice. Well, in terms of health, because when we were talking about the Ted Kaczynski power process, he had referred to working out as a surrogate goal. Why do you, like, full honesty? Because us young guys, especially with this accelerationism, looks maxing, all this, it seems that this artificial goal has been to become healthy so that you can increase your dating pool, and therefore like you're not fulfilling your power process even through working out. You're doing it for the photo on the Instagram story or the dating market. How are you receiving fulfillment? What is your goal with your health? Like, did it start out as something that was for other people, or?
I mean, just like as a dude, I feel like purpose is like a one-worded answer. Like every young man that has like a purpose has that drive behind them. And like, what's the purpose? Like early on in age, you're just like trying to impress every girl, but then later on, you're trying to build a family, right? Same, but different. And so, if your purpose is just being healthy because you had, elders that might have been sick or that environment was not ideal for you, hell, there are dudes that go to prison. They come out swole as shit. you know, it's really just like your environment, your mental space, and just like a one-word answer would really be purpose. I mean, that's what resonates with me.
Purpose.
Yeah, because
Did you create your own purpose, or did you find that your purpose was established through the external world?
both, man. It's like who do you see when you look in the mirror, right? And then who you see when you look in the mirror should be what's contributing to said society. Like, I would hope that the man you look in the mirror is honorable enough to defend women and children, to not cause harm, to not weaponize their knowledge, like honorable stuff that you would think is stoic and like honorable. But, LA is also like Gotham City. So your environment can really dictate that thing. So having
Yeah,
sacred spaces like this where you do find people that you align with and it does make sense, it's cool. It's reassuring. It's one of the more positive aspects of social media. But that's just my personal opinion.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And an interesting concept would be, I was talking to this e-girl for a little,
Yeah.
and she had told me that she would always say that, oh, like, I like that you have a purpose. And I was like, I should let you know I'm still figuring out my purpose, because for the longest, hidden models of society in college and my fraternity, I wanted to be in finance because everyone else in my fraternity was in finance. I wanted to be a social chairman because of the sororities, and I left school. I wanted to start a business because of Andrew Tate, getting all
Right.
this, stuff. I was like, what the fuck? My purpose was obviously influenced by hidden models of desire. And now I'm like trying to, through traveling and these experiences, go through the process of individuation to identify my own set of criteria to develop my purpose. But seems like you're talking about your purpose is like, like it was easy to find. But as talking to this girl, it seemed like she's running into people that have no purpose. So, and the how are we creating purpose and and giving meaning to things? Is it whatever you give meaning to in your own life? Like, how are there's probably going to be people listening to this that feel like they don't have a purpose. I feel like I'm still developing my purpose. You obviously just explained your purpose, but what do you think about? Was there a time you never had a purpose, or what do you think about people that have no purpose?
I mean, buddy, you kind of answered it too. It just takes time. That's what's kind of like cool about it is that it should be fun while you're writing your story. So even if she's bumping into people that aren't necessarily on a purpose per se, that's the cool part about having friends, because then you can like collaborate together and find like common ground, and then it sparks a purpose. You know, I'm a firm believer that if you're too busy helping others and you're just like hard at work, you don't have time for any of the other bullshit. You know that, any of like the vices. So to those that are listening and just trying to find their purpose, that's like the beauty of being human. So, and being human is understanding that you have time and a finite amount of time.
Mm,
That doesn't mean rush though, if that
hell
makes sense,
no.
right? Like it doesn't mean rush. I wouldn't tell you to hurry up during your trip to LA, right? But there was a finite amount of time that made that experience more special.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
were like, oh man, I landed, I raced against the clock, whatever model or whatever advice you took to like go and travel around and see, it's it's cool. And then from
An
that,
adventure.
exactly, that's exactly what an adventure is. And then you sparked that adventure in someone else, which leads to their purpose just by being yourself, Preston. Like it's the coolest time to be a creator ever, man.
Yeah, and man needs adventure, which is what I was finding, which is why I'm doing all this traveling, is because I start to become more familiar again with my surroundings when I come back home, and everything becomes superficial again. And it's like, bro, there's no adventure anymore. And it's like, I need to travel. I need to go to places that that like my brain has never even conceived of, that creates new memories inside of my brain. And I need to
Right.
be in a constant state of adventure. I think a lot of people maybe lack adventure, and even the process of the grind or whatever is adventure. But I like what you said about rushing, because I hate people that, because for the longest time I always felt rushed. And I saw this one video one time where this girl was in the shower and she's washing her hair like super fast, and then she like says that she was able to realize, wait, I can like slowly massage my head and wash it like without rushing.
Yeah.
And he's like, what, like how long, why did it take me so long to realize that I can take my time? And it's like, even with client projects I was working on, I was always rushing. But then when I would finally work to get on the call with the client, then I realized the client had like no rush at all.
Hmm.
Like, why was I rushing all this for? Like, but you will get those people that, as we were talking about earlier, that like take advantage of the people that aren't necessarily fully defined their purpose yet, and they'll make you think that time's running out, and that you gotta rush. But
That's
one
just another
interesting,
ad.
yeah, one thing you made me realize was like the fact about how my experience in LA was short, and I like to keep it short like that. And the day I was coming home actually was on my birthday, and I had created an expectation in my head and with my family that I was going to be going out to dinner with my parents on my birthday. And because of this expectation, I communicated to people, and then it became real because it was
Hmm.
a commitment. All of a sudden, this aspect of rush came to mind in the airport where it didn't exist before. And my mental state was entirely now dictated by a commitment I had made with an expectation. And I actually had my flight delayed, and felt like it was the end of the world, even though it's my birthday. And it's like my parents, I thought they would be the end of the world. They're like, "What the fuck? You didn't plan enough to get home on time for my birthday thing." And I ended up realizing they're like, "Oh well, whatever. Unfortunate. Get home safe." And all of a sudden, everything dissolved again, and I was in
Yeah.
the airport, and I could take my time again. And that's when I realized that simply through the words that I produce with other people, where I create a commitment and an expectation, that those are dictating my state of well-being, and that I've been in the past like giving out too many commitments, giving out too many expectations, and that's why I feel rushed. And I didn't realize that until I was in the airport. The first half of the airport, I felt rushed. Once I realized I felt horrible, like blah blah, and then boom, after they said they realized they didn't care either way, now I could sit in the airport the entire day. I don't give a fuck what time I come home. So it's like, bro, how many of our mental struggles that we have that are dictating our emotions are related to overcommitting and setting unrealistic expectations.
Man, you say so much that I like resonate with. Because like two things. First of all, happy birthday, never. I was trying to tell you happy birthday because your thing just passed on Easter, man. Happy birthday, never.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
And then yeah, Preston, because on the topic, you're like when you go into all these finite details, it's really awesome to see how you're self aware, with all these facets. Because in going through your journey, these like experiences help add to your story, you know? And so home should be a place where you feel like relieved and like when everything else is going like weird, once you're home, you're like, ah, yes, like relax. But then in that level of comfort, there should be a balance where, when you get too comfortable, maybe we make over commitments, right? And it's just balance. That's it. It's just like but I'm also someone that understands you're a creator. So because you're a creator that specializes in automation and internet, right? It's very different than someone who has to go 9 to 5 and they're all of their brain power is just there. Like you were talking about earlier, building someone else's dreams. So I'm on the side, man, that's telling you you got good problems, kind of, right? And then you're just being a high level person, you're wanting to expand upon that. And whether you title that as purpose or just like your journey, let it be fun, man. As long as you're enjoying it, that's what's most important. That's what I support
Yeah.
you on.
And a problem. I had a guy that was Hindu that worked for me for a long time, and we got rid of that word, and we turned it into opportunity,
Oh
because
man.
of the fact that, one, it's a first world problem, right? And two, that like we actually create our own problems. And I think Man in Search of His Soul, the book Carl Jung, talks about the fact that like we create our own concept of a problem, and the problems of the previous decades were not necessarily the same as the problems that we have today. And how problems instead should be looked at as opportunities, because of the fact that like modern problems, especially first world problems, are not problems at all. So yeah, yeah.
It's all of it is just like fascinating to be a part of, you know? And this would be like one cool topic to like go back and forth with you on some banter, but like even the word opportunity is one that that's like one word that I don't personally use. Because when someone says the word opportunity to me, it sounds like selling something, you know, which it is. If I'm telling you about an opportunity, I'm trying to push it. Personally, I like to say possibility or probability, right? Because when I come to you, Preston, I tell you, hey, I have an idea and this is the possibility. I know that in sharing the idea with you, you're going to increase the percentage of that success. You're going to increase that probability of it. An opportunity is like you were talking about earlier.
Transactional.
Exactly. You know? And I was doing some research too, and I was just seeing the difference between, you know, millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha, right? Where influencers is one term, and then just trust and how online marketing has been just milked out of Gen Z. Gen Alpha just doesn't care, and they're still buying. So it's a really, really cool time right now where you're able to use AI to make ideas come to life and you get credit for it. And it's right before robots show up, where when a robot shows up, this whole equation is going to change. But I know you got a couple other friends up here like Jamie and Never.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I 100% believe with you too on that gap of change that we're in right now, which I am most fascinated about synthetic authorship as a medium, a new medium of communication that allows for more influence and leverage. And there will be like a gap in a period of time where you can synthetically maintain influence and communication and posts and ideas and it like won't sound like AI, but it won't be for long.
Mhm.
It'll be like because Gen Alpha will still have not been able to perceive the difference, or even at this point be able to comprehend the difference between a human generated text and an artificial generated text. But yeah, we do live in such an interesting time, and us young guys forget because we know all about AI. We can detect it and it's not X, it's Y, and
Yeah.
skip over it immediately. But nah, bro. Like the older people, like they don't know, they don't care. You know.
Yeah, doomers are watching like what is it, like War Thunder footage and thinking that it's like real Iran footage. Nuts.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I know Abdu, if that's how you pronounce your name. He came up as a speaker. Did you want to say something and provide value to the conversation?
Hello, how are you guys doing?
Good. Would you like to give an introduction of yourself?
Yeah, I am, Abdul from the Gambia, West Africa.
Nice.
Yeah, nice
Nice.
to
And what
meet
do you
you.
do?
Yeah, you
Nice to
mean
meet
like?
you.
Nice to meet you too. Where are you guys from?
The metaverse.
Right, exactly.
We're in hyper reality right now, bro.
Space dolphins, if you will.
Have you guys never visited any African country before?
Man,
Uh,
Tanzania is on my list. I have to go to Dodoma. I have to go to Dodoma.
Where is Dodoma?
Tanzania,
Oh, Tanzania, you mean Tanzania?
South Africa, right? Right by Madagascar,
Yeah, yeah,
Zimbabwe,
yeah,
everywhere. That's where the
yeah,
Mount
yeah, yeah.
Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, of course. Kilimanjaro,
Yeah,
yeah.
man, I have to go. Africa is
Yeah,
where I'm like, I have to travel and see it for sure. And then
yeah.
so much. Why? Where are you from, Abdul?
I'm from the Gambia, West Africa.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, Gambia is not nice.
Well, I mean, how's everything where you're at? What are you up to? What do you got going on out there?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, nothing, good with me here, I would say, because Gambia is not nice. I don't like Gambia.
all right. So, do you have something that you wanted to provide to the conversation so that we don't get off track rather than referring to your current state as not being good?
No, yeah, okay, no problem. Maybe I'll tell you guys. No, thank you for joining me.
Well,
Yeah,
well, well, real quick. Let me ask a quick question. What was it that you engaged with when just being on the internet that drew you here?
you said what?
Abdu, how did you end up in this space?
Yeah, are you into
Yeah,
AI
of
and
course.
automations that we Gambia and everything, or how?
No, I just said I was started roaming in I started space, I see your space, so I said let me join.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So if in the future, if you guys are joining, please provide value of some sort to the conversation. He seems like he came from just a discovery on Twitter and had no idea what the fuck was going on, and then proceeded to state that he's in a horrible situation because of his geography. And like geography, as we know, is optional here. It does
Yes,
not
I was trying
dictate
to see
whether
if
or
there
not.
was anything there, but no, I don't know. I don't know.
No, God bless him. I wish him the best. But yeah, Ghosty, do you want to come up here? We were talking about manifestos, the power process, mimesis. Oh, okay. We were going to talk about Kabbalah. And ever, if you want to mention your schizo take on Kabbalah, feel free.
No, I mean, I just wanted to, I've looked into it, not like super intensely. I just probably look at a fraction
Yeah, well, the
of
deepest I ever went with Kabbalah when I was going down my rabbit hole, I was like, could I essentially create a multi-agent framework that used each part of the Kabbalah and turned it into context profiles, and then run like a simulation of a like an AI agent Kabbalah and see what happens? Like, what, as you know, the Kabbalah has like the geometry to it and
Mhm.
a certain amount of numbers. I was like, let me see if I can make like a real Kabbalah with AI and see what the fuck happens, but I didn't do it.
And that's deep. That's fucking. But in regard to Kabbalah, um, there's a
Bro, you got
few.
the cops going after you?
Nah. I'm trying to get the right words together. The When you look at the view of what the Kabbalah is, and what's also going into this is the sources that are being used to build this. What you like, not you literally. I'm saying you objectively, like even as in myself. But when we look at these things online, are they even true to source? So just with what it is, the actual application. I don't know the actual application of it, but it's like something. I don't know. That's when there's some schizo shit.
Yeah. Yeah, once you start getting into gematria and Kabbalah, that's when you know that you're just coping and it's like you're avoiding something.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
But
That's
apparently it
interesting.
is like an actual like a Jewish thing that they teach. Like that I saw this influencer girl was like LARPing the Kabbalah as a way to like have success. And I was like, isn't this just like a geometric framework with what is with in Hebrew? Like because apparently the Hebrew language is like code rather than the English language. And so like she was LARPing the fact that the Kabbalah was allowing for her life success. I'm like, I don't think there's any way to apply this geometric shape
Nah.
You're talking about
towards
that Yiddish? You're talking about
manifesting.
Yiddish?
No, we're talking about the Kabbalah with a
Yeah.
K-A-B-A-L-L-A-H. I don't know if it's Yiddish, but yeah, it's like people end up like going deep into it, thinking that's going to help them achieve success somehow. But it's actually apparently the inner workings of the soul. Like it starts from the top of the head all the way down to the reproductive organs, and so you have the self at the bottom, then you have the masculine and the feminine of the self on the left and right of the bottom, and then you have another middle above. So it's like one, two above, and then the middle, like all of these one, two, all the way up to the top, which the top is like God. Like apparently this allows you to manifest ideas through the human soul out into the world, and it's like some really schizo shit. But um yo, what's good, Ghosty? How are your Google Docs?
What's good? What's good? The Google Docs have been getting ghosty. Um, you've had
Are they
me.
compliant?
Yes, they are compliant. We're not making any financial claims. We're just putting people on game and providing value, selling expensive shit on the back end of that. But one of the things you have gotten me to mess around with recently has been the whole synthetic authorship. Like, how can we use AI as a companion to help us get, you know, 80% of the way there versus staring at a blank page and trying to do a backflip to write copy? And so I've
Yeah.
been having fun finally tapping into AI, seeing how we can leverage it to actually do work. Like now, the whole growth consulting process has gone from an 80-hour process to help out a business down to like 8 hours of work. And I'm no longer doing all of the writing and the brainstorming. Like the AI can call upon Gemini and other AIs to help out with market research. And so I've just been having a lot of fun recently, paying for the extra Claude, paying for the cursor, the Gemini, and all the things to help speed
Nice.
up the process. Really, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you can now build hot models with vibe coding and stuff because if you guys don't know, like Ghosty was also like a sim of grandfather Sasha on the mic, Nick
Mhm.
Cosman, and what I realized was that when Nick was writing these Ghosty Google Docs that were selling $50,000 deals, this was before he even conceptualized the aspect of synthetic authorship, and I was out there studying him and essentially like turning his Google Docs into context profiles and just realizing the opportunity there was with if this guy could do viral dynamic YouTube sales letters reading off of Google Docs, and now we could synthetically author, and he wasn't doing it yet, and we could synthetically author mimetic or like meme style Google Docs,
Mhm.
like I could do it one every single fucking day, and about current events, 3 reasons why founders can't X, Y, and Z, like the whole empty penty arc from Cosmin, and I'm like, I was just so fascinated, obsessed with the fact that he was like known for, oh, I create my own niche OnlyFans but it's Google. And it's
Mhm.
like, show me the product, dude. I write on Google for a living. And it's like, all right, well, does he know? He didn't know about Gemini yet and all of that. So it's like, really liked the idea of, but then you have the really bad, it's not X, it's Y, and now you got to engineer the context. But we will be at a point where it will be indistinguishable from human writing, to where you will be able to print like Google Docs that are trained on human psychology, NLP, and persuasion and memes. And it's like, and you'll be able to fire off like the best VSLs every day.
That can be like super granular and niche specific, which makes it really fun to have a more of a general offer where we can help people scale or do something. So the opportunity for us is very big because we're the ones still hitting the online button for businesses and getting them to actually trust and
Do you think that synthetic authorship will denote the value of a Google Doc?
no, I don't think so. I
As long as
think
it doesn't look AI?
as long as it doesn't look AI, I think there are very distinct like signals of humanity, is what I'm calling it so far, in writing and in content. And I think that's one of the big things I got from Cosman at first. He was like, to differentiate yourself is what? Do a live stream on an exercise bike. But it's like, why does that actually work? Well, it's like AI can't do that. AI can't really replicate that. I think in writing, we have our unique human experience. We have our stories that makes feel authentic or like real or resonate. And I think it's going to be more of a combo. Like the synthetic authorship is going to get us 80% there. But I think the last is still that human touch of how do we connect the first line to the second line and the second to the third? Because the AI is great at doing bullets, it's great at synthesizing ideas and using the proper language for it. But I think what it lacks is flavor and taste. It can build you a house, but it can't decorate the house on the inside.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
genius.
feel like that's really the only spot where I think AI.
I agree, and that's what I become obsessed with. When you have image generation, you got tool calling, you got all this, but
Mhm.
bro, like the thing that keeps me up at night is synthetic authorship, and as a marketer specifically, with the gap we were just talking about of like Gen A and like being able to identify whether or not something is AI written or not, and the scale of influence through mass distributing hyper like persuasive content that's niche, but also then like adds in your face talking on the Google Doc. So it's like I
Yeah.
tested like the authored. It was an original idea, synthetically authored, sat there and with my camera on it with the Cosmin special, and now it has a mil views on a short form platform for a 25-minute video.
Yeah.
And when I proved that concept, obviously using hyperbolic language and memes, quantum mirror on the wall, who's the greatest of them all, like bro, like I was like, I hit the spot, bro. I can generate we'll be able to generate unlimited meme fucking documents
Yeah.
that are amazing, but you still need that hazmat suit on a private jet with the gas mask, like in order to actually make it legit. I like how you said the part about the bike going live on a bike, and he was playing piano and
Yeah.
sitting on the stairs for 5 hours writing a song, and
Yeah.
he would always say that. Oh, AI can't do this. And I always
Mhm.
believe, I'm like, bro, yeah, there is no way AI could come up with these fucking memes that you're coming out. Like I tried. This is all you can't, and it never will. I believe it never will come up with those fucking funny new,
If if I'm to
language.
have a hot take, is I feel like hashtags are gonna come back, but they're gonna be used more as like a mechanism. For example, Preston, you have this moat of content that you've built, but it's difficult for people to search and understand these different terms sometimes. They really just have to consume the content. And one of the things I've learned recently from this guy who owns Nobu is he talks in hashtags, he talks in memes. And I thought it was really weird at first. I'm like, bro, how are you a professor at Stanford and you talk? But what he's doing is creating one, it's like cult language, like you have your own group. So particular is another example with looks max.
Mhm.
All of that language originated during his live streams. All of these little memes came up in station to stick, and then it became a hashtag looks maxing in X's or however many X's. And so I think as we
Fortnite
create,
emote.
yeah, exactly, as we create our own Fortnite emotes and our own little like fun groupings of language and fun and fresh ways to present ideas, we should totally tag in hashtags on top of it because that's something people can click on and engage with. Now all of a sudden it's big authorship. Whenever people start looking at that and that phrasing wave, well, the only person who has content on that is the guy who founded the hashtag. place.
Exactly. The
And
frequency
so,
can be tracked back.
exactly. I think that's the whole distribution and who said it first, I think is really going to be what matters for going into the future. So I think
Mhm.
trying to for that online real estate while you can is totally a value. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I referred, and a lot of this just went over so many people's heads in the group, and because, and even people listening to this are gonna be like, "What the fuck is T Swifting?" and or whatever. Like,
mhm,
because, and we'll maybe dive into this philosophy, which I would became obsessed with for a year because it literally like changed my subconscious. And I started having dreams about Nick Cosman, bro.
yeah,
And I was like, "What the fuck is he doing? Is he performing magic?" And so it's like that's why I use the word quantum mirror, and which is why we were talking about hyperstitions
mhm,
and like a self-fulfilling idea. Like I could have said like shadow work AI, but
mhm,
it ended up going viral and people ended up making new videos talking about it, and then it was a trending thing. Then it was like the only thing that covered the entire SEO, and so if anyone tried to copy it, everyone knew it was mine, and so you
exactly.
couldn't copy the frequency. And so like that's so important, I feel like, for marketers is, and I just bought this book called Cultish, and it also talks about how the word cult has just been ruined into like a bad thing. But like that's what got me started studying memes and linguistics and semantics, and just also explore my own authenticity. And the reaction from others also happened to be the very same thing. It was that people actually started saying that they were dreaming about me, bro. And I was like, okay, is this dude actually fucking like losing it after going to LA?
Mhm,
Or is he like or is he like a fucking genius? And it's like, and I was like, maybe he's a fucking genius, but replicating this style is either going to ruin my entire career, or it's not going to be compliant, and I'm going to be banned on Meta forever,
mhm,
or like, and like as long as I don't go as far as dropping an HNT program,
yeah,
or like, is this fucking legit? And I'm still learning, but I think that
the
like,
game.
yeah, forever people will, and I wish he would come back, bro. But he's done his work, and now there's clones of him everywhere with Ravi and Serge and fucking me and you and everyone. But like the reason that you and I bonded was over the idea that we both could communicate with each other with a foreign language, and we could share value with each other through a foreign language, and we felt like insiders. And if people are listening to this now and you hear some of this rhetoric, you almost feel like you're missing out, which is the element that then gets you to give attention to it and to try and understand it and decode it. And it also allows for multiple different interpretations of something that, or the original person who is honestly a simulacrum, which is like a copy of an original that you can no longer understand the original because of the copy. And so like the more people that then use the repetition of the language, the more that it spreads, and the more that you can then close tennies by just saying join my OnlyFans.
Yeah, you're creating culture with language. Whatever grouping of language you choose to use, filter the people who are serving it. I've been exploring in my sales the term. I'm black for one, so it's okay for me to say it, but it's what is Ebonics? The definition of the word is an example.
Hmm.
American Vernacular English, AAVE, aka like slang. With that is when I told all of my peers and my friends and family around me, everyone was like, "Dude, do you think black people speak like that? Do you think you're the white man? Do you think you're leveraging your own people for?" And I'm like, "No, it's not at all that." Using Ebonics, this is an example of language traffic, and I'm saying to clients, "Hey, you know my people and how you think we speak. We're trying to figure out that amount of detail and that quality of language for your own market. You know, blue collar roofers are going to have a very specific level of sophistication that they speak with and a very unique set of problems. And that could be considered its own language because they're going to talk about things we don't know about. Or if you look at the police department, they can speak in code and the numbers and all of this. You go in the office and they're talking about these numbers and random phrases and you have no idea what it means. But then you ask and explain it to you. And so the reality is trying it out on a sales. I've told, hey, we're going to do foundational copying for you, aka Ebonics. Anybody who had a knee jerk reaction to it wasn't the call prospect in the first place. versus every person that laughed was like, you know, we prefer to call that sweet little nothings. I'm like, yes, we're going to speak to your market in Ebonics, going to whisper sweet little nothings in their ear. All of a sudden, we're speaking the same frequency. We've just created a common between the two of us, operating on a meme that I'm going to put as a 10K deal, or doing, you know, marketing for all these real estate brokerages. And so it's a weird concept, but it is really fun once you start to understand language
And,
is a filter, it is the qualification process in and of itself. The more
and
fun you can have, the better you can differentiate yourself.
yes, as long as it's compliant.
Yes.
And that, my friends, is dolphin squeaking definition, if anyone has ever been curious. But it's also the aspect of T-swifting, as you know,
Mhm.
of leaving Easter eggs within the material you put out in order to gamify the process of learning and incorporate an element of show business into something so sophisticated.
And
But
how do you
yeah.
sound? How do you look like you're 12, but sound like you've been here for 100 lifetimes?
100%. And yeah, I like the Ebonics offer. Yeah, I like the Ebonics offer.
It's been a very fun experiment, and I definitely piss some people off where you're selling out, and I'm like, no, I'm using myself as an example. He be, she be, we was at the, you know what I'm saying? Just saying, I'm trying to figure that out for your market versus going through this whole 30-minute presentation of, okay, I'm going to search on it, I'm going to this, I'm going to find out the problem. All of that is Ebonics. That is how they speak in the group of words that they choose to use. It's literally down from 15 to 20 minutes. And it's fun. We laugh about it. But they also understand very clearly, like, oh, okay, that's the amount of detail. It's the punctuation, it's the vernacular, the
Yes.
syntax, and how they even type.
Yeah, dude. And we're getting into some really deep stuff, and it's like, and that's some like triple filter stuff,
Mhm.
which, as you know, let me see. I said, you know, the mama, please pray for me. Saw only F triple flat a model fashioned outside. Like it's like, bro is literally like praying to take a business model and make it so simple, like by denoting it through three filters to the point where like it's its literal own unique thing that cannot be copied, and it's beautiful. He's a pioneer of the space. I hate to glaze, but he's influenced both of us tremendously. And the funniest part is that anytime we refer to this and reference this kind of stuff, anyone that tries to like, you just had to be there. Like you
Yeah.
cannot find any of this online anywhere anymore, bro. Sold a 2.1 for 1.4 and dipped. He literally deleted all of his stuff off the internet, as he referred to, because his $2.1 million house ended up having fake granite countertops. And so, unfortunately, he was only able to sell it for 1.4 million.
Yeah.
But yeah, we live on in his spirit. But yeah, I really like the language engineering, and I think it pairs perfectly with the rise in synthetic authorship and the intelligence level in language generation.
It's fun.
You're kind of
It's
lagging.
going to
What'd
be
you
one
say?
of I just said it's really fun to play with. And I think that's going to be one of the ways we'll be able to differentiate ourselves and make us still sound unique in a flooded AI slop social media
It is the only
content
answer.
wave.
When everyone's using the same large language model, everything will sound the same. You will not be able to distinguish yourself unless you create a unique code of what would you call in a book where it lists the name of
Like an index of
yeah,
you.
like an index. But also you can't give the index because then you ruin the T Swift aspect of it. You
The
know?
mystery.
Yeah. Yeah, then you won't be in the dreams. But yeah, an appendix, essentially, like your own appendix of verbiage that is niche specific to your target audience. And also the implementation of semiotics, which would be the theory of symbols and the influence that symbols can have on people's pattern recognition and subconscious, which is very interesting too, of how much words can go into a symbol, right? Like the dolphin, for example, and it can have many different types of associations of meaning for everyone differently because it's never actually entirely defined until we just essentially stated it on this live, but in a weird way.
Yeah. I think the next really wave or frontier is the distribution of stuff. Similar to like news networks. It's like they take
relevant topics and things that are getting buzz, but then they distribute that 500 times. So it's not just on Instagram and TikTok, it's on Google, it's on all these forums, it's on a ton of RSS feeds. And I think that's kind of the next thing worth solving is maximizing the distribution and how we can leverage this synthetic authorship to help us one create the conversation online about us, but also distribute and multiply the conversation about us and our offer and our unique phrases. So now whenever someone Googles synthetic authorship, Preston pops up on 50 different websites or 50 different blogs that are all getting talked where you're getting talked about but pointing back to you as well. And I think the next evolutions of the internet are going to be combining these facets or features of like web 1 being web pages and web 2 the social platforms, but how do we combine that stuff and multiply? So one page of notes or one simple post or one 12 sentence blog you write becomes 50 pieces of content that all become a lead magnet for you. So instead of scaling vertically with one acquisition channel, you're now scaling horizontally all over the place on Google, on Meta. So the AI can cite you whenever people do their search about you, but also people can start finding you by these words in your treasure map as well. That stuff starts to leave a footprint on the SEO and online and all these places. So I've been having fun trying to solve that. How can we not mass synthetic authorship stuff, but how can we contribute to the conversation about ourselves with this stuff as well? And so it turns into Ebonics and Web 12 or Ebonics and distribution for your market. And it's been fun. Yes.
Kind of
Amazing.
kind of
And we had
curious.
people drop off because they didn't understand anything that we were saying, which is perfect. That's a filter,
Mhm.
except for Ace is here. So he passed the filter.
Ace
Congratulations.
gets it.
What's up, boys? Yeah, we're space dolphins all the way. Because I'm curious. I want to pick your guys' brains with the automations and synchronizations, right?
Mhm.
How long do you guys think it'll take for your agents, or I would say our agents, our three agents, to be having this type of level of conversation while we're AFK? Your thoughts?
Well, it wouldn't matter because without language generation influencing human behavior, then there's no point in a sense. So there has to be like it would you could have this type of higher level conversation if we prompted it between agents, but nothing in the world is going to change because of it. So there's this aspect to a synthetic authorship or even like a hyperstition of creating some unique name that then becomes a reality or something real. It requires observation and attention from the collective conscious. So, in order for it to be somewhat beneficial or to create change in the world or to influence someone's behavior, in order to be a part of the inside joke or be a part of the community, it would require a process of being represented as if it was a human person that was a human mask that was synthetically authoring perfectly their voice and their style of language to the world and distributing it because it does require
Mhm.
the aspect of repetition of an audience consuming it. And that's the reason Ghosty's name is Ghosty and him and I are able to communicate in a certain type of language is
Yeah.
because it was applied to test subjects in a sense, and it created culture, and culture necessarily can't be created through just API requests of multi-agent systems. So we would be more looking for what moment in time will a creative writing model with proper context be able to undetectably replicate his Ebonic
Mhm.
type of messaging to create posts and media that he either hides behind with his human face or posts as a ghost,
Mhm.
and that then influences and impacts the world and converts into sales.
I think that's the big limit with AI. Like it still is a language learning model. And so it can't experience like we do. It can't live a life of 20 years like we have. And so I think with that, it only has the ability to synthesize ideas. It can't really run with them and explore and play with them like we can. Like to us, language is putty. It's like Play-Doh because we know that it's just coded language that was given to us and we aren't
Mhm.
that. It's just a tool we use to communicate with one another. So
Mhm.
it gives us a degree of freedom to play around and explore language in a way that AI can't really do it. And so I think I love this idea I got from Alan Soltanic, which is that you can either write copy, meaning you can stare at a blank page and write it line for line,
Or you can approach it from building copy. So instead, is you're looking for specific phrases in words in the way these people communicate, and then you're just drag and dropping that copy into a framework, into a template, into something you already know is made to help people have a transformation or get resonance. And so I think I don't know if we'll ever have a point where all of our AIs can really talk and create their own language like this, because it's still just a language learning model. So we can tell it to explore, we can tell it to have fun, but it might look very different from how we have fun and explore with it too, because it's still just a language learning model. At the end of the day, it's just a graph that's doing math, that's trying to generate and predict the most probable response, not the most unique, not the most influential or impactful thing. And I think that's where time will tell if AI will be able to do that or not.
Right,
But the
right.
way it is right now is not really. I think it just helps build copy way faster that can convert at a minimal viable level. And so I think we should just have fun and make money with that and
I'm
enjoy it
with you
while
on
it
that. Yeah.
lasts, you know? Having fun will literally, like, once everyone's using the same GPT for the same sales letters and everyone's using the same Google AI to LARP fake fucking luxury lifestyles, the only thing left will be going live while you're on a bike in the gym or playing piano while trying to sell and book appointments on Instagram Live and creating your own unique language and showing up as like a fucking meme. Yeah. And I think the Olympics this past year were a big display of that. What's her name? Alyssa Liu
Alyssa
and the
Liu,
other girl.
fine shit.
Yeah. But it's funny whenever you hear them talk about after they won, they were like, honestly, bro, I wasn't even trying to win. Like, I was just here to have fun and put on my absolute best performance. And I think that's so telling of the future that, like, the people.
And now you're a cultural moment and meme.
Yeah, exactly. You end up creating culture because she was authenticity maxing. Her performance was authentic to her, and people could feel that. Versus everyone else is trying to play the sport. They're trying to play the game. Versus she was just simply living in her element and creating and experiencing and adding that. And so her performance
Or
was more
everyone's
human.
comparing themselves to, and everyone already doesn't fucking know their identity because of the simulacrum of social media and trying to just like, unfortunately you can't control it, but the imitation of other people too.
Mhm.
And so when you see somebody like that who is not imitating anyone but being themselves with no care, like that's what creates culture right there. And then you get the memes on TikTok, then you get the edits, and she doesn't have clippers, she doesn't have to pay anybody, bro. And all of a sudden she's being mass distributed and she's a cultural fucking icon,
Mhm.
which is why I used my only following on my Instagram for 2 months for her to represent her as the icon of authenticity in a world like today. But now, trends come and go. But yeah, I think that's a perfect example of what needs to be translated into the marketing world, where, as we were talking about in the beginning of this before you were here, everything feels like a fucking ad now.
Mhm.
But it won't feel like an ad if it's an inside joke, and that's why humor sells too. Not only does, like, the humor create a filter, but now humor sells way better than anything else.
And this is what keeps me up at night is, what does it mean to be human in an AI generated world filled with AI slop?
Well, we're not even a human in the world prior to
Mhm.
slop. Given if you're referring simply to the internet or the metaverse, we're Sims, right?
Yeah.
So we're essentially a copy of ourselves, and then this is going to be on YouTube, and then it's going to be the second rendition of the simulacra. So it's like, already we got to distinguish, which was hard for me for a while, that you, like, look out the window
Mhm.
right now, like that. Okay, that shit's never changing. Like,
Yeah.
that's the real world. But now, which we were talking about in the beginning, we actually live in a hyper reality, in a cyber psychosis, like, unconscious state, where more people identify themselves with the content that they consume and the mimetic models that influence their desires online, that they fail to remember that that's not their real identity, and that's why people can't post content. And that's why people can't, like, dox themselves and, like, all that, because there's that now idea that this
Attachment
is real life.
to their
Yeah, that
sim
this is real
character.
life or something. But no, we're Sims, right?
Mhm.
So it's like,
But
yeah,
I think that's it. It's being a sim online, but how do you make it as easy as possible for yourself? You experience in the real world. You read books. You have real conversations with real people. You go to conferences and hack the conference by hanging out with everyone and actually talking to them and understanding why they're there in the first place. And I think that's how, at least for marketers and people like us who work in the info and the online space, is really how we're going to differentiate ourselves, is have a more fulfilling life, have a more involved life where we're actually going to events, we're interacting with real people and writing that stuff down. And the things we write down end up becoming the foundations of our Google Doc or the seeds of a marketing idea. And so I think that's really I think that's it.
yes,
That's the game.
yes. That's why we travel to absorb culture.
Yeah.
And we avoid climate change on the way.
We're just trying to duck a BK, man.
Yeah, I think that's perfect because the literally like that's what being a THO is like you're acquiring knowledge that then goes back into the Google Doc.
Mhm.
Like you're not just traveling.
Yeah.
You're literally trying to find marketing angles by experiencing a new state of being and being in a new culture and then putting it back into the Google Doc.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it's like
And it goes into your data. Like your camera knows that video was shot in the Amman Hotel in Canada or in the Hilton in Israel. And so, like, the machines, the Meta platforms and the Google Gemini platforms, they know these things too. And so I think it's even more important because that's the stuff that they're pushing. That's the stuff that gets attention and is interesting. Is the digital footprint as well behind the content that we post. I think you and Nick have both talked about it. Like it's you get a different result when you record that TikTok video through the TikTok camera and you post it direct to platform versus you record it on your phone and you post it on
Mhm.
Instagram and then post it on TikTok. And I think that it's all part of the TiHo thing as well. Different content's going to work better for different things you're selling or different things you talk about. And the background and the ambiance around you all helps create that scene. It helps create that movie that people are going to watch on YouTube forever.
Mhm. Yeah, it creates the status delta too.
Mhm.
The background maxing, right? So uh yeah, even the sound quality of the Shure SMB and testing out the frequencies of the microphones and the having floor to ceiling windows behind your having background maxing like that's
Mhm.
it's creating the aesthetic
Where do you
or the
have the
story.
microphone in your video? Is it on the side? Is it right in your face? Are you holding it like an MC? Like these all tell different emotions. They all tell different experiences. And so it's really fun to play with. It's like this camera has become a playground of a human experience. And it's really fun to transfer that and
Yeah.
capture that online and share it with
Yeah, but
others.
the only thing is you're not doxxed.
Yeah.
So it's a different story to risk a very, very, very like pseudo marketing strategy with your face on it.
Oh yeah.
So what do you think about that in terms of anyone listening to this? Like, because people, once you unlock the Easter eggs inside of our community, you start to really become a part of the culture, and you understand that you pass the filter in a sense. Um, but like, what do you think about like HNT? You saw
Mhm.
what happened with HNT
Mhm.
with this comment section, and with what
Yeah.
happens when you break compliance, and all of a sudden people like actually think that that there's something wrong with you, and then the people show up to your house and in Canada because you posted something that was not compliant on Meta.
Mhm. And I think that one is a mystery because we don't know where the boundaries are. And I think, especially at that time, Nick did the HNZT. It was a
Just
very,
to test the boundary.
yeah, I think that was a super sensitive time as well, where there was extra guardrails for what we could and could not say. So I think on one front, it's having the balls to say the crazy stuff in the first place and be wrong. Like, yeah, so for example, we'll bring it back to the Bonix example I used. That in text form without my face doesn't really resonate with people at all. However, on a sales call and in person to people, it totally makes sense because ebony, phonics, ebonics, that's the root words of it. And so because I'm black, it's something that I can play into. It's something that I can leverage when using a word ebonics versus if Nick Cosman tried to say ebonics, people would tap the brakes a little bit more and be like, wait, why are you saying that? I don't really get what you're saying. So I think there's a balance between experimenting and exploring and just having the balls to put your nuts on the table. And if it doesn't get resonance in the first couple of days, or it's getting a super negative effect, you can always just take it down. You don't have to run it and try to run it up to 1.5 million a month. You don't have to try to run it for 90 days if it's getting backlash. And so I think it's just keeping an active pulse on the market and the reactions that you're getting. And it's not necessarily letting the market tell you what to do, but it can definitely be a signal that you might have pushed it a little bit too far to the platforms as well.
Okay, so if someone was like low IQ and was saw an Instagram story I post that would say, "I know this is going on YouTube, so I got to watch the language," and it said, um, "I hate I hate
Mhm.
terrorists." You guys are if it said, or if I something like, "I hate." Something like, how Nick would refer to haters as terror. I got molested by
Yeah.
terrorists. Okay, like if I put that on my story, I got molested by terrorists. Right? Like we're all laughing. Hopefully, we're all like laughing. But like, hopefully, people would be able to understand that it was some type of experiment, like some type of marketing
Mhm.
experiment, like you and I did, when we were working with
Yeah.
him. But like, what is that like? Can you come back from that if it does not work?
I think you can. I think we all have this inflated sense of importance, but like just like you see the random guy on the street when you're walking to get your coffee, he sees your random ass too, and you're just a random guy with a cup of coffee, and he's a random homeless guy. Like, so I think people see these things and they might be affected for 24 hours or a week at max, and then now we're going and we're talking about La La Land versus Oppenheimer or Barbie versus Oppenheimer. Like the trend changes every week, and I think people are going to be mad and are entitled to their own opinion. And like, there's a degree of just F them where it's like, we're going to keep it pushing and doing what we're doing and letting people
What,
know.
you think this is a good Google Doc? How to stop getting molested by
I think
terrorists?
so. I've been experimenting
I'm writing that
right
down.
with one
If
that's
you
like,
if you say that you can come back from this if it doesn't work as a sales letter, then
I feel like it's
the,
possible. Because like, really, I think where people mess up is going the Sam Millsap route, where like you just start scamming people and then
where
God
you're just
becomes
you
the
look
niche.
fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But and then you have Cosman, whose his final offer was get scammed.
Mhm. Yeah. But Cosman's also been very clear and open with people that like, hey, I'm running experiments and I'm just trying to see and test the bounds. And I think the people who've been with you long enough to understand that, they're not really going to be affected by it because they
They
understand you're
know
an
that
offers
yeah,
guy.
the program's not you actually getting scammed. That it's like
Mhm.
an anti-hero of the current state of the market,
Exactly.
and that it's just absurdism. And that it's also something that makes you consciously like one, it goes into your
Mhm.
unconscious, and two, because you there's enough cognitive dissonance, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, I definitely agree. Versus being a Sam Millsap and switching up to peptides and like just sitting there on live, just answering every question about a peptide, and then
Mhm.
actually like getting exposed for scamming people. And then you got Nick out here dropping, get scammed, send me 12K with no questions asked, and people are sending it because they know that like, oh my god, this is so like it's still the fucking salesprocess.io. It's just called get scammed.
Mhm.
Like that's the name of the offer,
Yeah.
and then it gets shared, and then it's like all this, but. Yeah, I found that really interesting when that was his final sales letter.
I think if you already have a moat of content or like proof of being valid, then you have the right to experiment with that stuff. Versus if you're like a new guy and your first offer is HNZT, like, yeah, dude, you're getting shunned from existence. But I think if you already have resonance, if you already have people that know you and like you and trust you, then like it's worth playing with and seeing how can we toe the line and make it fun and fresh. You know, it's like Nick gave this
How can we
analogy
measure
of
the CPM of a meme?
yeah, exactly, exactly. I in one of his
Which he was. He would. I bet you he had like some models that were tracking the like the CPM of the meme. I'm pretty sure he referenced
oh yeah.
that. But like my way of doing it was like if I posted something pretty ghosty on my story, and then like I looked at it later at night, and then I saw that it had like 1,000 views and no one liked it. I like maybe that like was a little too far.
Mhm.
Like now the next day I post something, I'm thinking like if people remember the fact that I like tested that angle of
But it's also
you
just a
know,
random story they saw during their 4 hours of watch time between rubbing one out, eating food, and doing their work. You know, so they might see it and be offended in the moment, but it's the next day, it's a new set of content, it's a new set of stories. And so I think our content has the power to have an effect on people, but I also don't think it has as strong of a negative effect on people. It's like the news. The news sometimes tells you to wash your hands, and sometimes the news is all doom and gloom and hey, we're going to bomb Iran and do all of this stuff. And we don't really care. We know that the news is going to tell us all of these things all the time. And it's just the next day, you know? Um,
yeah,
so I think
yeah, I agree.
I try not to, I, I try just to
That's
be
always the
open.
part that stuck with me because that like inspired me from working with him was the fact that like he was able and I was able to practice this myself, and I lost like my sense of ego too
Mhm.
from doing it. Was like posting 20-minute videos on Instagram, like where you're the first 30 seconds you're not even doing an intro, like you're just humming or singing or whatever, you're like creating a filter.
Mhm.
And people like commenting, starting saying like, bro, fix your intro, like what the, and like no one's 20-minute on Instagram, like, and then there's some people that got it that are like, holy fuck, dude, this is the only account that I know that has the balls to fucking post a 20-minute video on Instagram and not respond to any of the comments and just like move on. And for those of you that are listening that don't know, if you were to have a sales letter that was, which this would really work, that was called how to stop getting molested by terrorists, essentially what this means is how do you stop um, how do you stop having haters on your content ruin your ability to get sales? And so rather than being like how to handle hate comments,
Mhm.
like no one fucking listens to that.
Yeah.
So you go how to stop getting molested by terrorists. And now terrorist essentially means haters. Molested means it's ruining your situation, and it's hyperbolic and it's a meme, and then it gets shared, and then it gets people commenting and everything, and then the rhetoric throughout is insanely valuable. Like you're literally describing the exact process, like Kanye saying that he visualizes mechanical bees that go and get all the haters, right? So you end up like infusing it with insane value, but like you change some of the language to rather be entertaining and have humor in it. And from there, like you continue to test and test what type of language in your comments starts to get shared and becomes culture, and then that eventually ends up becoming your unique brand that nobody can copy.
You can't copy memes. You can't copy culture. That's something that happens organically through relationships and experience and time together. It's the shared traumas we all go through together, that help us trauma bond to one another. Whether that's from the work we've put in to understand the Cosmin stuff, or the work we've put in to do our businesses, or the work we've put in that maybe didn't work out that made us pursue this online stuff in the first place. And that stuff you can't really replicate. That's your unique human experience that is going to speak the loudest online. Even if it's synthetically authored with AI, it's like you can still capture that emotion and the transformation and the experience that you had within that too, and make it real.
100%, man. And this is like that deep level marketing stuff. I like how you incorporated the aspect of like if you're if you're not just selling your own thing, but you're being a GC and you're doing market research to understand the rhetoric and language used by those niches, and then you're like positioning new forms of language similar to it in that niche in the offer.
Mhm.
How that could be like insanely valuable, but also probably risky depending on how much you go with the memes.
But it's fun.
And
Like I'm working on an offer right now with some guy who does back end systems for real estate brokerages, and with that is they're trying to focus on recruiting agents. And all the old people who are running brokerages and the people who are making the most money in real estate, they've all been in the business forever, and they're just running it like a multi-level marketing thing. And the thing me and him are talking about is like, there's a million realtors that get their license every single year. So how about instead of letting Keller Williams and all these places influence them and not help them get any results, we actually just sell brokerage as a business opportunity. Like, hey, we're actually going to do the marketing for you. We're actually going to help you get these results. And so with that is we're using language to speak to those 5 different types of real estate agents. You have your new agents that are new to the market, that are figuring it out, that just got their license. You have your investors, you have your brokers, and then you have the agents in between, where the first tier is going to swear that referral business is how they make all their money. And then you have the big dogs that are selling 10 homes, 50 homes a month, that are actually understand marketing and advertising. And so the language or the foundational copywriting isn't about how do we sell real estate as a business opportunity. Really, it's how do we sell real estate as a biz op to these 5 people within real estate? And I think that's what venture capitalists do, that's what growth consultants do. Like that's what we all do at the high end, is we just look for unicorns and we help them build a bridge to the rainbow via language and access channels. Um, and so I think that's the game through and through, is just decoding language and helping people have a transformation and speaking to who they really are. And so that's how we're getting results, is we've created stories and we've created memes about the new agent, memes about the referral agent, memes about the complacent real estate broker, because they all have different problems. They all have different things that keep them up late at night. And I think it's what helps you really just differentiate yourself as a writer or a copy person in how you do unique thought. You don't just, hey, let me hope we get lucky. It's like, no, you get very, very granular and very, very specific to what do they look like? What car do they drive? What do they feel like? What do they cry about? It goes deep. And I think that's what all helps the language create culture and feel like it's organic and not forced. Like people don't want to buy from a marketer, people want to go shopping with friends. And so it's figuring out how can we make it feel like people are shopping with friends and they just accidentally spent 10 grand because they really liked it.
I know, yeah. It's like the payment was just the formality. Or one of my like memes one time was project, because everyone was like hating on the memes I was putting. So I said like project into my mirror and write me off as a deductible or something like that.
Yeah.
Because of the fact it's like, yeah, fucking like I'm literally researching you guys and your reactions right now.
Mhm.
So like just fucking keep projecting into it. It's all data. And then whoever passes through, just like the transaction itself is like finally just an acceptance of being a part of it
Mhm.
in a sense, the psychological aspect of it. So yeah, I did have it got to a really interesting point where I was trying to, my friend who was never in business when Cosmo was blowing up, like 2 years ago, I was like trying to like explain this philosophy, this marketing philosophy to him, and he had no idea. Like he thought it was like stupid, and then he was like, no, this is not gonna work, bro. Like it's saying like this dumb bullshit, and he really didn't understand it. But it started to get to the point where I could like have somebody DM me, and like that's how he was able to close like $10,000 deals through the DMs or through YouTube fucking live
Mhm.
chat with 5 people watching. Like by making the aspect of sending him $10,000 with a price point being something that's a meme, like a tenny,
Mhm.
$10,000, and then it becomes like, you know, casual, like send me a tenny, get a tenny, which was this shit, and people were literally like paying in a live chat with 5 fucking people in it. And so I would have people. I started to, I was still doing the meme marketing, but then I was like still acting like not playing character to the marketing in my DMs until I switched, and I realized that I could just like send a fucking emoji and say like a couple of lines of
Mhm.
gibberish, and then the person would respond back in my language, and then I would say like something like, are you like I don't see you in my OF yet, are you not, blah blah, some fucking meme, and then she joins, screenshots it, sends it to me. She ends up leaving a couple months later, and then Josh had asked her why, and she was like, why she even joined in the first place. She's like, I don't even know why I joined. I just joined because
It
I like
feels
Preston.
good because it
Yeah,
feels good, bro.
and I'm like, bro, no way. I was like, this is fun. This is fresh, right? I'm like, we're closing deals by like like I don't have to sit here and fake. Like it's better to actually, instead of fake fucking connection and sell somebody, as you were saying, like it's better to create your own fun like semantics and then sell in that. But it also, I did a lot of research into the compliance aspect, not only on the platforms but like legally.
Mhm.
Like if somebody passes the filter on accident, and then you're claiming that if you send a tenny, you get a tenny. Like if it's actually if it's a meme claim, like or is it not allowed?
Yeah,
Um,
there's this
uh,
balance.
yeah, and I think like yeah, I what I had learned was not like as long as it's like meme enough, then it's not actually like a
Mhm.
claim.
A saying versus a, hey, we guarantee you're gonna make 150 if you send a tinny. Like that's not compliant. Versus the latter is, hey, send a tinny, get a tinny, bro. Like it's just a saying we would say all the time.
Yeah,
New
yeah,
person in
and
the chat would flood. Send a tinny, send a tinny. Like it just is what it is.
it's a tenny party,
Mhm.
bro. And that, yeah, that's the best when things can become fun. But yeah, you can imagine my DMs. I have countless amounts of people that are saying, what's wrong with you?
Mhm.
What happened? Are you crazy? A lot of people also thought I had chat GPT psychosis for a while, and stuff like that. But no, I was just constantly testing new marketing angles and new forms of unique
Mhm.
language. But yeah, part of me was kind of, I like, I couldn't handle some of the people like ruining their perception because they couldn't comprehend the fact that I was like trying a new form of marketing.
Mhm.
Because yeah, a lot of people, like I think I lost, bro, like 3,000
Mhm.
followers. And I remember Nick, and I'm also banned. I got banned for a year on TikTok Live. I'm unbanned in like 7 days on
Nice.
TikTok Live or on Instagram Live. But yeah, a lot of like I started to think I was diminishing my reputation to some extent.
Mhm.
But I was like, man, I'd rather do this and be mainstream. Like Nick was never mainstream, and he made $20 million before 30. Like I don't need to be fucking Ravi Abuvala, and that's what Nick realized too.
Mhm.
He realized he didn't have to make tutorial videos going over Asana on YouTube. He could just, you know, make a viral dynamic sales letter or read off a Google Doc and have some status delta added to it and just go on live. Like
Galactic
I'd
sales.
do that any day, dude.
Yeah. And I think live is going to turn into like the live sales office. Like we're just taking calls all day over live stream. And so we go on our occasional rant
That's
about what we're
yes.
doing, but people rotate in and out. And our job is one, being entertaining for the duration of the live, but also hunting. Hunt, hunt, hunt. We're hunting for problems. We're not just looking for them and curious, we're hunting for them through the audience as well. And I think that's where lives are gonna go. Like I swear, as soon as Kai Cenat drops his clothing brand on the live stream, that'll be like the new frontier, and that'll be the permission where everyone accepts, like, okay, we can sell shit online, like expensive stuff online, because
Yeah.
we don't need permission. You know, you're either there and you get it, or you're an observer and you don't get it, and that's all part of the filter.
With this, you either get it or you hate it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I like that aspect, and that's why I think is going to be like the true definition of a sim, and that's why I went live the other day for like 3 hours. But I was like trying to do it in a way that's not exhausting. Like
Mhm.
he had been able to do it day after day after day, all day. But it's like, I think the future would be like being under surveillance, like as a sim, like being
Mhm.
under surveillance, like literally the entire day, and like asking people to send you like to send a tenny,
Yeah.
and to just like play piano and just like eat your sandwich, cut your sandwich, and
Mhm.
like stuff like that, and just constant, because people, you know how you and I were probably sitting there, bro, like avoiding doing our work,
I would
like
always say
you sit.
Nick was my co-working partner. Like I had my most productive days when he was doing lives. I made some of the most calls.
Exactly, yeah, but he wasn't sitting there answering questions.
Yeah.
Like you would have to sometimes wait like fucking forever for him to. You'd be like, is he? I think he's like accidentally at the top of the questions, not even the
Mhm.
bottom. And so then it had you like, you not like on normal TikTok live where everyone's a fucking slave to their chat. And
Mhm.
so then you're draining your energy and shit. But like you got lucky if he responded to you, and if he did, he was like, bro, he like knew that you were kind of just fucking around, and he'd be like, bro, you just DM me and say that you have 20-foot ceilings, but you're not making 100K a month yet, and like,
Yeah.
why the fuck didn't you send the tenny yet, bro? Like, you have Kraken?
Mhm.
And I like he wouldn't even answer my question.
Yeah.
And that like I literally then send him the fucking money, dude, as a formality.
Yeah. It's it's fun.
Why don't you go face mode
This is
on?
that's the move. Q2 is we'll be doing the thing. We're going to be pushing content and just taking it more serious. So I think my approach for the lives is I'm doubling down on writing physical notes and writing down stuff over the course of the day. And I think the first little bit of the live is just warming up, reviewing the notes, and sharing the insights behind the stuff I actually wrote down. So I can do a little bit of content creation, talking about stuff, provide some value. But then the people who hang around is then asking the questions, seeing what they're up to, and hunting for those problems. So I'm looking forward to doing a wave of some lives and doing a push of some content here because I've got a crazy story here over the last 10 years and a little bit of a catching up of the audience to do. And then we can sell pretty hard after that once we get my story clear.
Nice. Yeah, because in the metaverse, bro, like going live 24/7 like he was with like 5 viewers is going to be like, and still getting 10K on a live in a single day, waking up prospecting, fucking living in hotels
Mhm.
and all that stuff. Like that's going to be the fucking way to stand out
And
and the
that's
way
been
to.
something I've been experimenting with here in Austin is a few times a week now I'll go downtown and I'll just hotel hop and figure out one, what does the route look like to walk around the city, but also where are the hotels? Where are the people hanging at? What types of people are hanging out over here? And trying to leverage that within my own community to change the background a little bit, switch it up and soak up some of the energy from these other places because doing that is how I've met some of the best entrepreneurship relationships that I have here in Austin. I've met billionaires just hanging out in the lobby of the JW Marriott or the Edge rooftop. And so I think even if it's not traveling around and flying all over the world, there's still a version of that in your local community where maybe instead of coffee shops and doing your copywriting is you go hang out in a hotel lobby and do a live while you do your work. And so I think
Yeah.
I'm going to be experimenting with how we can kind of multitask a little bit with that. How can we have this live sales office, but also I get to sim around the city as well and leverage the vibrations of all the great places here too.
Yeah, that aspect has been hard for me. Is like, as I was talking about, like being attached to the chatter
Mhm.
or whatever, where like he had like no attachment to chatters and was extremely successful with it.
Mhm.
You gotta be like the second that the OBS turns on, it's like I gotta get like all of a sudden I'm like looking at the fucking chat. I can't do my work and everything, but he was like prospecting at the same time, and that's gold.
Mhm.
That's true sim stuff. Is when you're literally like you're already doing the fucking work that you're making money, but then you're just recording yourself as a fucking meme
Yeah.
and like using the live as prospects and then like emailing them all like while they're on the live.
Mhm.
And like that's gonna be the most leveraged fucking thing to do. It's not like Gary Vee sitting there on TikTok live selling TikTok shop products. Like no, you're selling high ticket like info or
Mhm.
consulting
And that's why I think
through recording yourself
the
doing it.
notes is like your pre-show. The notes is like your warm-up because that was your lived experience yesterday. So you're just tapping back into, hey, what were my big insights from yesterday? What were my big lessons that I got from yesterday? And it's kind of a really it's more for myself to warm up and get comfortable in the camera and in my voice. But then that dives into whatever rabbit holes we dive into. Like, but that's how I already warm up to work is reviewing my notes for the day, read a couple lines in a book, and then immediately get to prospecting or doing client work. And so it'll just be capturing that and trying to think of it as like a marching band show. You know, before the show, everybody warms up in the lot. Everybody's warming up, playing their lot books, and people get to watch and enjoy.
And after they warm up, everybody goes inside to watch the actual show, which is interactive, it's collaborative amongst all the members. It's not just one section warming up and preparing for the show. And so I'm trying to take that philosophy into the live streams where it's like, okay, what's my pre-show? What's the march over? And then what's the actual show? Where's where we're making our money. And so
Will you be in a unfinished basement wearing goggles?
sometimes, or sometimes we'll be walking on the street and going on a hot boy
Like
walk.
what? It's like why? Everyone's like, why are you in a basement wearing safety goggles, dude? What happened?
Bro, because it's
And
hot.
it's like, and meanwhile, he's literally in a $2 million house.
Yeah. It's like, guys, I have a basement.
But he's like, he has no furniture. He's just sitting in a chair, bro. And it's like, okay. And he like keeps looking to the side, like there's someone with him, and you're like, is he okay? Is he okay?
It's like, bro, are you okay? Is the Canadian government at your side desk right now? Like,
But the funny part is, they were, and he gate kept that for until like someone brought it out of him somehow in the chat, and he's like, okay, yes, like the FBI did come to my door because my meta stories were not compliant enough. But that wouldn't happen in the U.S.
Yeah.
That's like some Canada shit.
and it was just the times, man. It was super sensitive online at the time. Like I was just hanging out with this guy from Silicon Valley, and he joked the other day. He was like, "Do you remember disinformation and censorship?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Yeah, man, that was a really weird time." And I'm like, "So to you, it's just a phase. To you, it was just a relevant thing at the time. Like, oh yeah, we're doing censorship and hate speech and disinformation." He's like, "Yeah, that was just a
COVID, yeah,
phase,
that was
man."
like right after COVID too, with the jabs and shit. So it was like, I was worried the other day. I almost like he used to use the terminology like pre-COVID or whatever,
Mhm.
and I was like, bro, if I put COVID on here, are they gonna fucking ban me again?
Yeah.
But it's all a test.
Yeah. It's all part of the experiment. We're doing scientific work in real time.
Yeah, I wonder, Ace, if you're still here and you're still active, bro. Obviously, you're 3 hours behind us. We'll probably end this soon. What is your opinion on this marketing philosophy, and have you ever heard of anything like it?
I mean, I'm a bit, but it's I see like it really applies to community builders like yourselves, and really it just sounds like when you say iterations in text, even like the Google Doc, like it really comes down to your guys' voice too. So all the other stuff is just stuff I really resonate with. So yeah, I was curious to ask you guys, how much do you feel it is about like your voice, and then how much of this changes because we have Palantir listening to us now, you know?
Yeah.
That's what makes it like a joke.
Well, the thing is, it's not really this style of marketing would like not necessarily be your voice. It would be like a sim voice essentially. So
Right.
it would be like you would it would almost be like playing a character or
Mhm.
embodying the archetype of like a character, and then presenting your like showing up authentically, but also the communicating in this unique style of language that your audience like understands and resonates with because throughout your content you've used it previously, and so it kind of drew the line of if we ever actually knew, because one time when I ended up actually purchasing Nick Cosman's program and I got on a call with him, like he immediately turned into like engineer mode and like not a single meme came out of his mouth, and
Right.
I was like, wow. And he gave me like insane amount of value. And but prior, like the only things that would come out of his mouth were memes. And
Right.
but all of it was like they were all backed with screenshots of his Stripe account and proof and DMs he's receiving of payments he's getting and like client testimonials. So it's like a mix. On the back end, it's your real voice, but on the front end, it's like this mimetic language architecture that that you create that's unique to like the inside jokes of your target audience, but it also pushes the boundaries of humor and like political correctness. So like Ace, for example, like
It's brilliant.
for you, asset director, 2 times Cancer Crusher, following the portfolio, 10 years building 3D sites, bridging communities. Like, so
Far too serious. I know if we took it way more light and like a lot more simmy, like you said, and kept it like lighthearted, it would be the tip of the spear. Like I see how it's very, very powerful, especially when you implement it like you guys are doing right now, because you're already spearheading the humor and you're leading the conversation. Therefore, it's like you're tickling someone's curiosity because you're actually a value in your niche, but the character online just has them locked in. They're like, who is this character online that they tune into? It's
My
channel.
billionaire mentor would put it like this: it's how do you sound like you're 12, but also as sophisticated as someone who's been here for 100 lifetimes?
Yeah, you said that. I heard you say that earlier. That's really tough.
And
That's tough.
it's like if you've ever been a part of a sports team or a group of guys, or you have a couple of friends, and at first y'all all become friends because one person ripped their pants, help them, sew up their pants and get a new pair, and you laughed about it, and now the three of you have a joke, and now the three of you are guys, and now another friend joins who understands the joke. And I think what we're doing with online stuff is we're trying to differentiate ourselves by not being general, by not being boring. And so it's how can we show that we get that and we completely understand the super sophisticated stuff, but we can talk like we're your friend that just invited you to the after party late at night. And I
Right. Like
think that's the place to
I'm with you.
explore. That's the place to try to have fun. And I think the only way you can really do that successfully is by one, authentically just being you and having a real life outside of the online stuff, like some friends, have
For
a
sure.
girlfriend, read books.
Touch grass,
Yeah,
yeah.
for real, because that's where the good thoughts literally come after minute 33 of doing cardio, Like, Nick Cosman said it as a joke, but it really is
Mhm.
true. It's 30 minutes of sitting down with yourself and trying to clear out all the mess and see what sticks, see what actually resonates with you, and that's how you create
You mean the
your
climate change, bro? It's not me.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Literally, ridding climate change is like the meme for clearing your mental thoughts, and it's like, yeah, it makes you fucking think, dude. And I love it. I would hate to think that like us three are like the only ones who love it, and that like the majority of society couldn't comprehend it and would be offended by it.
And I think that's the unique thing about this time in the world is I feel like for the first time in human history, we can have conversations like this to actually evolve the human language. Like what we're doing is we're just playing with the language and we're evolving with it. Ebonics was bound by this racist definition being how Black people speak. But really, what it was trying to capture is this phenomenon that, hey, cultures and groups of people have common languages amongst them. And so the researchers 100 years ago, they missed that. But I know that's what they were trying to do because of what they talked about it. And so now's my job to hopefully evolve the language and bring the word back and help people use it as a mechanism and as a better phrase to use. And so that's kind of the game, man. It's like doing your history, learning yourself, and figuring out just what's unique to you. Because we're just creating little black holes in the internet of ourselves, basically. And it's going to suck people in and throw cash out the back end of it. And so, how can you make it authentic? How can you make it you? And how can you make it as easy as possible as well? Because I think a lot of people overcomplicate the process and think they have to do this, and that, and stick to this framework. But it's like, no, dude, be a real person, live your life, run your business, make your money however you're doing it, and just capture those moments, capture those lessons, and talk about it in a way that you would with your friends. If you played baseball, it's like, hey, bro, in the dugout, whenever we're slapping each other's ass, it's like, how can you make it fun? How can you make it fresh? I'm a marching band guy, I'm a musician, and I'm an athlete. And so that bleeds into how I communicate some of my ideas. But it's also the exact thing that's helped me make the most money is being authentic to me. I could use general consultant language and be like, hey, general, this marketing research, general, this sales process. Or I could be like, hey, yeah, we're going to do Ebonics maxing to decode your voice of consumer language. And then we're going to do Web 12 to distribute your products. So you just create one post from the Ebonics and then it gets distributed 50 times amongst all platforms, all of my websites, everything.
I don't
But that
think you,
evolved
yeah, I
from
don't think you could
being
have put it
around.
any better, dude. Yeah, when you were right there in the middle, I don't think you could have put it any better than that. Yeah, well, what would you define that? What would you, if you had to give a name to this outside of dolphin squeaking, what would you call this?
That's another thing I've been thinking about lately. I don't really know. Like it's it's you incorporated.
Memetics,
It's memetics.
linguistics,
It's
semiotics, rhetoric.
sociolect. I think would be probably the most accurate term. Like the social groups and the dialect that they use, essentially, is what that is. And at its core, it's a group of people in the grouping of words that they use. I think that's what I don't know, in essence, we're doing. We're creating a black hole and we're using sociolect to create that. We're using a very specific group of language that tickles people's ear and makes them curious. And the next thing you know, we're breaking bread and we're having drinks together because we were the cool guy that invited them to the after party. We weren't the keynote speaker. We weren't the headliner. We were the cool guy hanging out in the lobby, had a couple of drinks with everybody, made them feel welcome, and then invited them to the after party and made sure that they had a good time on the weekend.
How much of an influence do you think image has? Because I was reading this book about television, amusing ourselves to death, and how it talked about the medium of a message going from like print and text and to then video and image and picture, and that's why you have memes, right? Not like they used to be. Memes used to just be like sayings, but now they're like images on the internet. And you, as you mentioned, like the hotel background, the essence of the environment, being a THO, wearing Prada, X, Y, and Z. Like, how much
Um,
do you think that comes into play?
I don't think I like to think about image. What I like to think about is identity and cognitive dissonance. So I'll use myself as an example. I'm a black guy with an afro and a beard. And I'm mid 20s. I'm just turned 26. And so with that, people have this idea of how to communicate and how I should look whenever they see me. And so one of the things I found is whenever I'm selling and I'm on my webcam, I've got to wear like a white polo because it makes me look professional, and it's in line with the way that I communicate. However, whenever I'm going in person and I go to South by Southwest events, I try to go to conferences and get clients that way as well. It's like billionaire sales process, quantum stuff. It's like it can't be more quantum than being at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
But the way that I present myself at those places, I don't really get good interactions with people whenever I put on a suit and I'm all buttoned up. I get the best interactions with people in person whenever I look like a fuckboy because everybody there is being professional. Everybody there is there to raise capital versus me. I'm just a cool guy. I'm this black guy. And then whenever you speak to me, is I sound like I'm a Harvard professor almost, and I can hold a conversation with those guys like it's nothing. And so I think my identity is me and who I am and what I'm about and what my core offer is. But then the cognitive dissonance is how I present myself. I know that people have this bias whenever they look at me. And so it's super important for me to be articulate and to be clear and to sound sophisticated, but also crack a couple of jokes and still sound like I'm from Texas and from the South and have a slur and say y'all and all these things.
But doesn't that denote the meme sales letter like philosophy then, if you like speaking professionally?
Not necessarily. I think
Because like your
it's
tweets are like, obviously you're not doxed on here, but like ghosty Google Doc Daddy, Mama pray for me, like type triple F flat, like that, that whole science we're talking about. Yeah, or like as you know, Nick would not when he was doing $20 million in GC, maybe after when he was selling programs, but he would speak in like as I told you, it wasn't until after I paid him to where he actually like was a speaking intelligently to me, but like all of his
my
marketing was kind of mimetic.
my billionaire mentor would say you have to earn your opportunity to display your competence. And so I think it's through the memes, I think it's through being engaging with people, you earn the opportunity to talk about what it is you actually do and actually sound sophisticated. So I think it's just a balance. I'm not presenting myself in person as a super sophisticated person. I'm very casual, I'm very friendly, I'm very what's the right word? Outgoing as a person. And so it's very easy for me to go into a room and make friends with just about anybody. And so it's really just about that. My focus is making genuine connection with people. And through making genuine connection, I earn the opportunity to display my competence as well. So if I'm in a group, like I went during South by Southwest, I went to an open claw event. And everyone there was a freaking nerd who had no idea how to have fun. And so I was able to speak that language. I was able to talk about and go deep about LLMs and AI versus I went to a venture capital event and it was a bunch of founders that were working on passion products and then venture capitalists that were just looking for unicorns. And so the way I talked to them was just much more friendly. And hey, what brings you here? What you looking for? What sorts of deals?
So when do you
Much more
lead
just
with
friendly.
the Ebonics Google Doc?
Whenever they ask about what I do, it's like, so what do you
So
do?
do they
It was
like look at
like,
you like what the? Oh, well, maybe that's the cognitive dissonance, right?
exactly.
So
That's me
then
using
you
language
drop
as a
the fact
filter.
that So then you put the filter up.
Exactly. So they feel heard, they feel listened, they're having a good time, and now they have to ask me about what I do. And I say, hey, look, honestly, I do ghosty stuff. Like, I'll tell you about it if you really want to know. Like, yeah, sure. I'm like, okay, so basically, you know, Ebonics, right? Like, oh yeah, okay, so black people, he be, she be, we was at the, you know what I'm saying? We have this way of speaking. And so every market has their own Ebonics. And basically, that's what I'm trying to figure out for people is figure out their Ebonics. I turn that into 40 assets in a matter of a week. That'll help you sell, convert, manage everything. And then we use Web 12 to distribute that. Like, the fuck is Web 12? Well, it's Web 1, it's Web 2, social platforms, Web 4, digital payments, and Web 5, owning your own like domain. And then you add all of that up, 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 5, that's Web 12. And like, oh yeah, I get that. So yeah, just distribution.
But
I'm
you're
like,
not at
oh,
the point
okay.
yet where you can say, instead of Web 1 and Web 2 and Web 3, you can give unique naming conventions to everything you're saying.
Well, if they ask more, then we can go even deeper. I'm just kind of summarizing the whole spiel, but that's kind of how it goes as well. These phrases create cognitive dissonance. My identity, who I am, gives me the ability to talk about it in the way that I do.
Interesting, yeah.
I don't really like to think about image because I've never really been a fan of the whole fake Lambo and all these things.
I didn't
think
necessarily
they're
refer to image in that way. I meant more when you branch back into like if you do the social media stuff, the
Mhm.
aspect of like going live, like what the image of where you are, as well as the nonchalantness of the selfie with the text over the face, like not giving
Mhm.
a fuck because like, but you're outside or you're in some nice hotel, like
Mhm.
the curation of the nonchalantness that's given off with the rhetoric, and like when you're, let's say I'm go today and tonight post on my story, I'm getting molested by terrorists. Obviously,
Mhm.
if it's like some fucking photo that's, you know, way too professional, it wouldn't matter. But that's where you get the hazmat suit, gas mask, private jet. Like that's when you say I just got molested by terrorists. So it's like
Yeah.
how much of the image in terms of when you go to present your video sales letter, like does that matter more than let's say, because I agree with you the essence and everything, but I'm talking about metaverse wise.
Mhm. That's a great question. Um, Honestly, I feel like with respect to authenticity maxing is like sharing the content in the moment. Like if you're at a conference and you're suited and booted, then your lesson that day is suited and booted. You know, I saw a VSL the other day or an ad the other day. The guy was getting macro needled or whatever in his. And I'm like, dude, that's actually super interesting. He actually was just getting that massage and told his camera dude to turn on the phone. And I'm like, you know, he captured that right then and there in that moment. And so I don't know. I think if it's real, people can feel. And that's kind of the game. I guess I just haven't thought too much into putting my image to altering it too much online. I've thought about just living a funner life and a more interesting life. And that will change my image by itself. So I think it's just literally having doing cool shit, not for the meme, but doing cool shit for the sake of doing cool shit. And then
And then
seeing how
turns into a
you,
meme.
exactly. It's how can we make money while we're making money? And so the making money, the really big money is building those relationships because you might run into someone who can actually write you the $100 million check, the F1 event.
Mm-hmm.
But also while you're there is taking a moment to capture your unique insight. So one of the things my billionaire mentor did is he always said this thing of like a treasure map. He's like a treasure map, a treasure map. And so I asked him, I'm like, bro, what is a treasure map? And he was like, actually, here, hold my phone and record this. And so he stood up and we recorded this 30-second video of him talking about a treasure map. And so now he created a piece of content that lives on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram. Uh, So he taught me that lesson, and that was his unique insight from the day. And then together we're building a search fund, and we're investing in companies, and we're doing big Nobu shit together. And so it's how can we make money while we're making money? It's how can we go after the big bag and make sure we're creating that foundation of content in these unique places and monetizing the life experience we're having, but also still make money in the process by making dollars today, by selling notebooks, by selling the course, by selling whatever it is. So I don't know, multitasking.
Well, yeah, that's like the cool part that you gave me like an epiphany as you guys were going back and forth, and it's kind of my intention in like the sacred dolphin space, you know, because what it sounds like is when you're out in the field and you're networking with these prospects, all of this connection that you're doing and authenticity is just for them to give you a chance, just the opportunity to perform. Versus like Preston, majority of people that are coming into the space because of the content, they automatically opt in, whether he's in LA or not. You know, having those kind of assets is where I'm right there with you, Ghosty. I'm trying to leverage the content, give it some context, so that it leads to contacts, I guess.
And the way VCs and people do those big deals is like in person and building real relationships. And so, like, I'm going to be going to all the F1 events. I'm going to be going to the Super Bowl. I want to check out more concerts and stuff because the stuff sugar daddies would send their girls to, that's where the rich guys hang out. That's where the people travel all over the world and really have the money. And so, you can do your big contracts, your big corporate deals. That's the like billionaire sales process.
Mm.
But it's while you're in pursuit of doing those big contracts and 100K per year deals, it's still capturing the content. It's still having something you can sell today with the group, your course, or you're selling 5K services to the people that you meet at those events as well. But it's the relationships and how can you be the most real about that?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I would just, like, well said, bro. I would just say, to answer that question, how do you make it something like really meaningful and make those connections? It's just creating content that's for legacy, not, for lack of a better word, likes rather than like conversion. Because like you said, when they see you living that lifestyle authentically, and they're like, God, dude, this dude on a Tuesday, he's just over here at a game. You know what I mean?
Do you
Yeah, but
you
that
guys ever
requires the element of the metaverse, because Ghosty could go to these events, but then the only people that will know that he's that's why I mentioned the image part. How much like
How would they know
but
you're
like
ghosty?
I meant digital image, because everyone there will
Oh,
know,
snap.
but it's like, how the fuck can you, like, who at the next one,
Oh,
how are they going to be able to like see your past stuff, and where are your video sales letters going, and where are you in your
yeah,
apartment where you're like,
whoa.
making sales letters. And so like
and your digital
the sim
footprint
aspect, because you're
is
not a sim unless you're fucking on live playing piano and writing songs and closing deals in YouTube fucking live chat.
your moat of content is what makes you valid nowadays. And
Fair
so
enough.
I think that's somewhere I've been lacking. Something I've realized going to these in-person events is I can totally win in person, but then they start looking me up and they're like, "What's up?" I'm like, "My ghost." Like, don't worry about it.
Hmm,
Um,
hmm.
but so I've been doing stuff to go and on a podcast with Jeremy Haynes. I now got pictures with this billionaire dude. And so I leverage these things to help build up my image and do stuff like that as well in the metaverse. Because I think to what Preston is saying and what you're saying, it's still a big part of the game. And especially as marketers, that's how we prove that we're valid. It's our actual check mark. Like, sure, we're paying Elon $12 a month for Gronk and this check mark. But really,
Well,
the check mark is how long have we been posting content? And it was the
yeah, and it's like you two live in big cities, tier one cities. So like I live in a tier three city in Cincinnati, Ohio. So like I can't go to events like locally and secure enterprise level deals. So my only perception to this point has been like in the metaverse, and so I've had to manage that aspect. But if I did live in a big city, I could imagine like you guys, how yeah, you can just be going to these events and literally building $1 million business and getting these big deals by doing that in person and building those relationships. But like
and
I'll tell you,
online.
yeah. But
We
Nick didn't do
do
that in person. Like Nick took the sales letters that you're already writing, and he just spoke on his face and put them on YouTube and got 2,000 views, and started booking calls and closing them with the millionaire sales process with a 50K on call. Like so like I think that part is extremely important, especially with the future, don't you think?
agree. I think the reason I'm liking in person as of recent is online, we do lead magnet for lead gen, free value for lead gen. And in person, you can do free food for lead gen. You can get a loaf of bread or a chicken and cut it up and put it on sticks and give that out to people and have interactions with people and get validation for your thesis right then and there. And so I think I'm starting to like in person for 0 to 1, like your first win, validating the thesis, validating the jokes and the language. Like Ebonics worked with business people, and I figured that out in person at first. And then I tried it out on 5 sales calls, and it worked. Oh shit! All right, I'm just gonna run with it. Um, and so I think that's why I'm liking the in-person stuff. This is just like, how do you get alpha on a Google Doc and it's real world experience? And I think a lot of people just sit and talk and just type things and just stare at their computer and hope it's going to print money. And eventually it will. But I think you can speed that process up by just getting reps in the field of just talking to real people. And half of them aren't even gonna, just take the free food and leave. But a few people are gonna be like, hey, why are you standing outside of the Fogo de Chao? Do you work here? I'm like, no, I work for Simply Scale, my company. And then I tell them about it. It's just, I think that's the reason I like in-person stuff is I think it's helped me find foundation for this really weird offer. Like it's hard to sell what we sell and it's hard to describe it. So that's really helped me figure out the
Yeah.
process of how to bring it online as well.
Yeah, I think you will have success. Like if you can figure that out in the market first, and that's always like such a viral thing to, and such a viral claim to make. Like that is going with the proper like nonchalant Google Doc sales letter video, viral dynamic sales letter with the right background. Like that is getting numbers on a platform that favors like new creators, something like TikTok, or putting that on YouTube. So I'd
And I
say
would love
yeah, your next
to
step should be that.
I'd love to expand on a prior as well. Earlier we were talking about what if it goes wrong? What if you take it too far? And I think that's been part of the reason I've liked remaining a ghost and staying kind of anonymous and figuring it out because I think there's a big consequence if you start and you get it completely wrong. But I think there's a big win if you do it right.
Yeah. Yeah,
And so,
Like Arlen did it wrong,
yeah, I would agree with that. Um,
and now he's an artist.
And I think that's the game. Even Rob, the bank, the ecom dude, now he's a DJ.
Well, he didn't do this what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Rob just fucking chat GPT trending TikTok clips.
Yeah.
But Arlen was with Nick and was there when he was saying, when his offer was that if you want to be a Satan worshiping dumbass hoe, then join my program. And around that time,
Yeah.
Arlen's offer changed, which I was already in Tribe, which was Arlen's group at the time. So I was like on Arlen before that, and all of a sudden Arlen went way too, because he's Jewish, and he went
Mhm.
way too far. I don't know if you had seen with
Oh,
like
yeah.
with the anti-Semitic offer, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
just looked horrible. And now he is like literally like a DJ.
Because what is a market? It's just a group of people. And so I think like there's there's value in just having real relationships and people around you. And even if you don't have people around you, it's literally just deciding to go out on a street and try to talk to 20 people. It's just having conversations and seeing how you can cold open people and bring this stuff up because you're still getting reps. You're still trying to figure out how can I get offers, how can I get closing deals. It's the free food for an email, or it's selling empty notebooks for $50. Like whatever it is, you're just getting reps. And I think that's why I like it because you can just get some validation and seeing what people actually think. And if you get a real emotional reaction from people, then you know you're dealing with something real. And if you get a maybe and people are just curious and doing you the courtesy of hearing you out, then you know you're missing them. You're not speaking to a qualified prospect, or your message just isn't really hitting how it should.
Yeah, yeah, and this discourse relates perfectly to the very beginning of before you were on here, and this is recorded, of we were talking about the Industrial Revolution and the Ted Kaczynski Manifesto, talking about and how all of us now live in hyper reality and no one's living in real world, and
Mhm.
how I'm just a sim and I like click buttons on Google and end up with money in my bank account and stuff like that. Whereas like I've lost the sense of IRL, and
Mhm.
you're like fully indulged in it.
And
So it's
lost the sense of it as well. I went really, really deep online the last 3 years. And so this has been a huge revelation of mine here over the past like 3 months. It's transformed my business. It's transformed my whole life, honestly. I was already getting business from doing prospecting and doing well, but it's just completely opened up my mind. How value there really is in relationships. Like it's crazy. And then meeting these other billionaires and really successful people, I realized that no, what Nick was doing was more right than I could fucking imagine.
yeah,
And that
and
we're
that's
not
why we
actually crazy.
connected.
Mhm.
And that's why and like a hyperstition, and that's why this conversation has been about him for like the
Yeah.
longest time, because it's become real and embedded inside of us.
Mhm.
But I have realized that when I've been trapped, like it almost feels like people online are scary or something like that because everyone's hiding behind a screen. You can post like I just got molested by terrorists and think people are going to come after you online, but when I'm traveling to these other countries and I'm talking to people and I talk about what I do, like, bro, like they seem so easy one to persuade, so open to just understanding, so different than me with not the knowledge, and I start to remember again that
Mhm.
like no, not everyone, no one's me, and like you
Yeah.
forget that when you're just on a sim in the metaverse looking at profile pictures and reading tweets. So but when you're IRL, you start to realize like how easy it is to receive some sort of like validation for your work and have people interested in it and give you a shot and a chance,
Because we're so fortunate for what we do. Basically, all of our work for the day is done between like 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. We figure out how we can make 100K from like 7 to 6 p.m. with like a video, basically. And that's it. So we're very, very fortunate with what we do, and nobody knows what we do and understand what it is that we really do. And so how do you get alpha on that? You're a real person in real life, and you have real conversations with real people. Like that's how I figured out Ebonics. It wasn't me reading the dictionary and studying my history. I heard this crazy ass word and I looked in the definition and I was like, oh, that's kind of actually like what Nick Cosman did. Like he basically created Ebonics. He created Dolphin Squeaking and Taylor Swifting and Google Maxing. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah, it's actually kind of good. And then I tried it and experimented with it and brought it to my billionaire mentor. And he's like, yeah, that's what you're gonna do. That's your thing. I'm like, okay, say less. Like, it makes sense. But that never would have happened without the in-person thing. So I think now, quantum, what can be more quantum than being at the right place at the right time with the right people?
like right now, even if it's in
Exactly.
the metaverse,
Even
but
if it's
even
in the
better
metaverse.
IRL.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you just never know what's going to happen. Coincidences are just going to happen. That's the one thing I got from Lovins, which is be curious and act for coincidences to happen, and then let weird shit happen and acknowledge it whenever you see it. You're like, okay, God, that was a funny sign. I appreciate that. I understand.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
so it's kind of like a game. I'm trying to figure out how to have fun and how to just feel like we're winning. And that's why I just being a real person and reading books and building real relationships and spending a little bit of time every day to do the lives, create a ton of content from doing that and let it spread like wildfire by being fun and fresh.
Yeah, it has to be fun or in a state of play.
Mhm,
Yeah, that's what the spiritual books say too. Because I've
mhm,
been like mixing the cosmos stuff with like alchemy and like a bunch of philosophy and stuff like that. And understanding that when you engage in a state of play or you can like fake laugh, like I'm pretty
yeah.
sure that he was also like Nick was like also like a philosophical genius. Obviously, he got his degree in what was it, physics and all of
But with
that.
that, you're still an alchemist,
Yeah, it's
you
like
know?
when you fake laugh, like you start to learn to like fake laugh, but then it starts becoming a real laugh. Then it starts actually invoking that emotion in you. Then you start to become more authentic, and it's like if you can, when we turn these words into memes and the work and the DMs and the sales into jokes, but it all it's still providing value and it's serious and it's like it's almost alchemy, yeah, exactly what you're saying, which is why I was like DMing you like like some spiritual psychosis stuff like 3 months ago
Mhm.
on some like, yo, I think he was into like some alchemy and actually saw some shit in LA.
Oh, yeah.
um,
Oh, yeah.
because there's a spiritual side to this as well. But, like, are you familiar
100%.
with like egregores?
Mhm.
Did you say
I think,
yes?
yes.
Yeah, like an
Yes.
egregore and the idea that like you could feed an egregore and that certain subcultures are essentially thought forms that with repetition, so like almost like some witchcraft type behavior when it comes to engineering language and trying to like prove that it works as a marketing angle. So it's like, yeah, I think trying to engage yourself in it, like alchemizing the work while going
Few
against the status
things.
quo while everyone's being a fucking professional and like holding their tongue and like nervous looking into the camera and like bro
Mhm.
like you embrace that your femininity your feminine posting and your wizard
Yeah.
fucking shit and you just
Your hot girl stuff.
yeah you make it fun and then it's a ritual at that point. It's literally like a ritualized form of making money.
Few things come to mind for me. One is Joe Dispenza. I think he's got a really great framework for like I don't know, creating identity and speaking to yourself. The two books are Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself and then Becoming Supernatural. But uh, in regards to language, one of my favorite books, prefer the audiobook, you can find it on YouTube. It's called The Game of Life and to Play It. It's an older book from the 1920s. I found it in some random Freemason library online. And basically, the book it gives a bunch of examples from this doctor. She helped people cure, heal, and manifest specific things from the language that they use. And in the audiobook, in particular, they emphasis and pronounce some of these words in unique ways. And so, one of my big takeaways from that, one of the phrases that stuck with me is like doing things with ease, peace, and grace. And every time she said that, you could like feel it. And I think it just goes, I don't know, it's a really great example of language and how you can use it as a tool to help you, but also to communicate with other people. And I think that's how we keep things interesting whenever we speak. And I think it's what also helps us sound interesting and unique because they speak in this weird way of phrases like Nick and like some of my mentors and like we read in some of these esoteric books. And I think it's just a great example of how we can use language to do stuff and to move things and to bring stuff forward, but also how to move people as well.
Would you say that this is initiation science as well?
Probably.
Because it's actually low key like in esoteric books when they use English language to describe something unseeable or whatever.
One of the things from meeting these billionaires, one of them keeps doing this really weird handshake with me every single time we shake hands. And the other guy is he always kind of says something along the lines of like business is a reflection of like your personal, like your mind. We're way more capable than we think we are, but you need to clean it up and you need to fix it because right now it's broken.
Yeah, and the initiation science aspect also comes into play with, as we were talking about, like not giving away the entire appendix of verbiage, but rather Easter egging it like Taylor Swift throughout a series of, let's say, sales letters. You're
Yeah,
actually low key slowly every live you join, every like post you watch,
it's a treasure map.
it's yeah, and that's like an esoteric initiation in a sense. So like we've now been initiated into this esoteric marketing science,
Yeah.
and like to first get curious about breaking the cognitive dissonance from not understanding it, to then trying to comprehend it, to then screenshotting it, sending it to your friend and asking them, and then putting it in ChatGPT, getting your own interpretation of it, then joining the live again and hearing it actually being used properly. It's all like low key a psychological initiation into opening
A
you up,
group.
yeah, getting
So your little
through the
cult.
filter. Yeah, that's how you're like passing through the filter. Is you're like they say you won't find the teacher will find you, and the next thing you know, you like are looking up quantum physics because you think that
Yeah.
quantum actually means that there's something quantum computer wise involved in it.
Yeah.
And
Or
it's like,
you're reading an $800 book from Harvard Business School.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah. How many people do you think are into the, like, how out of 100, how niche of a subject would you say that this is? I can hear you. How much?
15?
15 out of 100
Yeah, be my guess.
in the marketing space?
Yeah. Honestly, actually, in the marketing space specifically, probably like 60.
60?
I think everyone's a
Language
little
engineering with
woo-woo.
memes?
Not on that level, but on some level of engineering.
Social engineering?
Like their own, yeah,
Well, obviously,
rather
that's advertising, right? So social engineering is getting people to desire things they don't have and stuff.
about this. I think the unique thing, the unique belief that we have is that we can like change people and we can change ourselves. And not everybody believes that. But because we believe that, we're like active players in the game. We give people genuine responses to things. We're actually emotional individuals versus a lot of people aren't that real with themselves. And so I think like there's people who are real players in the game. And so you'll notice that when you're prospecting and you have people coming your way, I think there are people who aren't real players in the game. And you can kind of tell that by the language and how you communicate with people. So if I tell someone Ebonics and they're not like, fuck yeah, or fuck no, then I'm not really dealing with someone who's actually probably has a successful business anyways,
Yeah,
because
that
they're not
reminds me.
unbiased enough. They're not like open enough that people could do stuff in a different way. People can play with words and language. Like, dude, we're marketers. We run experiments with words. So yes, I'm going to say some crazy stuff on a call to display that I actually have the balls to say that shit.
Yeah, it's kind of like Roy Lee. Roy Lee almost did it fully. If you know Roy
Mhm.
Lee,
Oh yeah.
he
Oh
like
yeah.
he was like pushing the limits of it, but he wasn't cult like initiation science of language, but he started taking on like the maxing stereotypes or Asian like stereotypes. Um, but it reminds me of like what Nick one time said. He was like, "How do I come up with marketing angles?" Someone asked. He's like, I just think about if someone put a gun to my head, what would I say?" It's like dead ass. It's like, what would you say? That's my Google Doc.
Yeah.
Uh, it's
Well,
how
even
to double your customers with Ebonics, like, or whatever the title would be.
mhm.
Do you have a Google Doc that's like has the title
Oh
on
yeah.
it that says
Oh yeah.
something like that?
Ebonics maxing with 10x's.
Ebonics maxing with 10 X's. Nice. Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. But I would argue that it's lower. The percentage of people that are incorporating
I agree.
Ebonics or mimetic language like strategically in their brand strategy for high
15
ticket
to 20%.
consulting. I would say like 1 to 5, dude. If you look at the feed, you look at these ads are
Yeah.
we were talking about in the beginning of this, everything feels like a fucking ad now.
Everything's buns.
Everyone's wearing some mask that is just like spitting out ChatGPT shit or regurgitate shit from books that they read or a TikTok they heard, and it's like people are
The
just
only other
like, no one has the balls to unfollow their family and change their bio to something that doesn't make sense. Are you still there? I think you cut out. If you want to, I'll invite you back up to speak. All right, I'll give you like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then if not, we'll end the live. Yeah. Yeah. Did you hear what I had said before you got out?
Um, it did.
I was like, who else? Like you're saying 30%, but who has the balls to unfollow their family on Instagram, follow a Prada model, and change their bio to something that doesn't make sense, and then post social experiments with language engineering as a marketing angle?
Yeah, nobody.
But you and I have, and probably many others, and I have like people in my comments and stuff because I have obviously given credit to the marketing style to him several times, and people definitely are aware. But I do believe it's like an initiation science type subject that's hyper niche, but it's the one thing that as similar to you, like it excited
Mhm.
me. It made me drop all the other fucking Hermosi whatever bullshit I was watching and like lock the fuck in.
And you had to like try stuff that like didn't make you money. And I think my own example is it made me rage quit life for like 6 months. Like I like just kept my clients. I stopped prospecting. I stopped everything, just to kind of process and really integrate a lot of this stuff because it's our own form of evolution, you know. And I think that's going to be the future. Well, it's not the future of marketing, it's just a way of doing marketing. And we found it in our own unique way because we've chosen the harder path of going about it, and we just have chosen to understand because we really want to know. And I think that's the cool thing about our generation and this time to be alive is like we have grown up with flip phones to sliding phones to now this iPhone and doing Twitter lives. And so we understand the internet in a very different way than our younger siblings would, who are just graduating high school, or how our parents would. And we've really been able to sift through the knowledge and try to synthesize a lot of this stuff. So I think Sam Ovens was one of the first people, and Nick Cosman figured out how to find all of the hacks in the metaverse, basically. And now we're just doing that, basically. And I think that's going to be the way moving forward. And I think they were just super duper early.
Yeah, wasn't he kicked out of Sam Ovens group?
Yeah, he got kicked out of Quantum because he Sam just didn't really like how extreme Nick was, I guess, and how blunt he would be. And then so he got kicked, and then not too long later, though, they ended up shutting it all down.
Yeah, bro was trying to destiny swap. You know what that is?
Nuh-uh.
It's like where it's like apparently a real thing where you can like absorb someone's essence and like copy it so much that you end up like stealing their aura, and like and like everyone forgets about the original guy, and the new guy like swaps destinies with you. So
Yeah.
it's like some people that shit could happen maybe because he kind of essentially did destiny swap back like with Sam Ovens and added like
Mhm,
physics to it and humor because like Sam Ovens like slightly autistic or something.
mhm.
But yeah, that's interesting. And anyone that's listening to this, because this is going to be on YouTube, hopefully you guys can find interest in stuff like this and be inspired by this style of marketing. And it's going to be more important than ever to, as language is commoditized. Like before, this was cool and stuff, but like now language is being commoditized and sales letters being commoditized, and the value of even reading something is just changing, and the words are becoming shorter, the tweets are becoming shorter, no one's reading anything that's long anymore, and like everyone
The
sounds the
AI is reacting
same.
to AI.
Yeah, it's like you're going to have to create your own unique style, bro, and tap into language architecture. Like I'm pretty sure I asked AI too, from a fresh account, unbiased, like what the most valuable thing that would be for the future, and it said to create your own language.
Mhm.
Like I'm pretty sure that's what it said.
Yeah, I really think the future is you incorporated. And what we you need to figure out is in an AI generated world filled with AI slop, how do you stick out? And I think it's you be a real person with a real offer who can help real people have a real impact or do some real shit. Um, and so that's the game moving forward. And I think we're just early in having consumed that stuff and actually taking it serious. You know, I went down the esoteric path and then I came across Nick Cosman and Sam Ovens at the same time. It was week 2, Sam Ovens, and week 7 of the SPIO. And that completely changed my life. Like I had to rage quit life for 6 months and just process everything. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I can see clearly for the first time. Um, and it's the synthesis of all this stuff, of the weird personal development and marketing and the Kabbalah and all these weird places you end up going. But it's actually looking for the common thread between all of that stuff and how we can apply it now. You know, knowledge is useless without the application of the knowledge. And so you got to seek it and you got to figure out how can you use it to your benefit to actually make you look like you online and people fuck with you because people fuck with you in real life too. So how do you display that? You just be authentic, man, and you grow and you do cool shit because you want to.
Yeah, I think that's the most biggest thing we take away from that overall is I had said like maybe yeah, I got the sales letter Google Doc and all that stuff, but more or
Mhm.
less like I was able to like shed an entire perception of ego and self and get on the internet and not give a fuck anymore and do all like so it's like just that the opportunity being initiated into those styles of like marketing were like
Mhm.
identity changing a lot. I think I'm pretty sure that formula is designed in order to change identity,
Yeah.
and there's like the most beautiful part about it.
It's breaking the habit of being yourself and escaping jail with no bars. You know, most people live in prisons in their mind, and that stuff is the roadmap to have belief in yourself and to have a little bit of say in the game too.
Yeah, it's more than just info. It's more
Hmm.
than just Google Docs. It's like when it's not just a course. You know,
Hmm.
you got the courses from like, but these aren't OG marketers. Like we're trying to be OG marketers in the future.
Hmm.
Like watch like being in Quantum or being in Spio or being a part of like those real ass movements before all the LARPing. Like that
Hmm.
was an identity change in yourself. And yeah, that's so it's more than just info, and that's why I'm so grateful for just him, those good people as well for what they did. While anyone can give them criticism, is because like I literally was accidentally like initiated into an entire like
Hmm.
process of like using them as role models of intimidation for for the attributes they had that I was missing, that I was able to test as well with the esoteric fun's playful side of it to
Hmm.
like find myself as a marketer, you know.
And that's one of the things I've written about recently is I feel like some of these people lost themselves in the process. And so the one thing I would add to all of their processes is intention and alignment. Like, is it going to help you do what you'd like to do in the world and have the impact and invest in whatever you want to and help the change you want to have, but also is it in alignment with who you are and who you're trying to be and becoming the person who can actually do that stuff? Because if it's not, you're not going to do the work. You're not going to stare at the computer, and have the conversations and figure it out. Um, and so it really is. It is a form of initiation. The process and the learning curve and the time it takes in and of itself is the gauntlet because you're going to face so much scrutiny. You're going to face so much rejection. It's going to be difficult, but rent still due. You still got to figure it out. And so it's an initiation, bro. And I would agree with you 100%.
Hey man, I don't think you could have said that last part any better, because that's the most important part. Because you see, the marketers that we are speaking about no
Mhm.
longer exist,
Yeah.
or nor can you participate in what we were able to participate at that moment of time. And so, yeah, intention is definitely something that going into this, even myself, we have to, as I get older, pay more attention to. So, yeah,
And it'll
that's
evolve. Your identity will evolve as you choose to level up as well. And I think that's one of the things I love about Jeremy Haynes is he just talks about, the level of thinking that got you to where you are now isn't going to be the same way of thinking that's going to get you to the next spot. There's going to be one belief that's holding you back, where if you could just change it and think about it differently, that's going to unlock that whole next level of revenue for you. And for me, that was in person. That was going out and building relationships. It was realizing I already did the work. I've already gone through the initiation. I've already arrived and actualized. It's like, oh shit, yeah, I guess I have a bunch of case studies now. I've actually gotten results for people. I actually have a business. I've been doing it. Um, and so there's it's fun. It's a beautiful process. And I would definitely go back and do it again. But it's definitely not for everybody as well.
hell no, yeah. Yeah, not for everybody, but no, that's what this ties perfectly. I'm glad you said that too, because this ties perfectly to the process of individuation that we were mentioning of
Mhm.
Carl Jung with the lack of the power process, due to the Industrial Revolution, and
Yeah.
and like that this is amazing, man. Amazing content and just discussion overall. I hate to even use the word content because that means this is now a simulacrum of a previous state that we were in
An
together.
expansion on a prior that we
Yeah.
purchased.
But yeah, this I think this will be very insightful for other people. Like I did a live stream on YouTube, Nick style, the other day. It only
Yeah.
had 89 people show up total in like 6 hours, and then I went ahead and clipped it up and put it on TikTok, and like one of the versions of it already has over 10,000 views. So it's
That's
like
making 100K between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m.
what do you mean?
That 3 hours is going to make you 100 grand.
Hopefully, yeah,
Hopefully.
yeah. But
Hopefully.
I'm more referring to that aspect that in the moment, like nobody, like you couldn't gather and garner everyone in the attention. So now this will live on literally forever,
Yeah.
and it will be amplified across platforms so that your voice and this Like, it won't just be something between me and you that then just stays on X Space on Twitter. Like, that this is going to be amplified and available for even you to rewatch and re-listen to self-remember, and myself, and it's going to literally live on in the metaverse forever. So
Yeah.
yeah, the aspect that it can also be cut up and then put on short form platforms, what we'll find is that it'll receive more views and more karmically impactful change in the lives of the people who listen to this than ever possible in this exact moment, with the amount of audience. Thank you to everyone who did come that was in it currently.
It's beautiful.
Oh,
And it's a fun time to be alive. You know, that's the game. It's having real conversations, because this is the insight. This is the stuff AI can't replicate. And then we just use our tools in our hands to distribute that stuff. And so that's the distribution is the 100K between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m.
yeah.
You know, the work is doing the live and having that experience in real time, but the duplication of that is the delta that causes the money to happen, because it's going to live on forever. And so maybe not in the next 30 days, but on a long enough time frame, that video probably touch enough people, it'll make you 100 grand in 10 years.
That'd
Like,
be quantum.
because it's still early. It's still early online.
Yeah, well, even as we know, like, 'cause I don't expect it necessarily to go viral, nor do types of styles of content you want to go viral
Mhm.
like this, because of how the type of audience that even if people wanted to inquire regarding this type of information, they would not be like, the total addressable market is rather small. So like
Mhm.
to even have 300, 500 viewers with this video living on forever of us having this conversation, it's like when Socrates had all his conversations and Plato was right next to him transcribing them, and now we have the greatest, like, this shit lived on forever. And so people will literally be listening to us speaking, but it'll actually be them talking to themselves, because we're going in their ears and into their brain, just like a podcast. And they'll be able to, in this exact moment of time that no longer exists, they'll be able to tap into the same frequency that we were producing through our mouths.
Yeah. It's what did you say? It's MP4s with life force energy.
Yeah, it's like someone's like, bro, what a course? I was like, what do you mean a course, bro? Not a course. That's MP4s and Google Docs with my life force and energy, dude. It is like that. Those guys used to believe that divine spirits worked through them. Michael Jackson said that he wasn't the one singing, that
Mhm.
something was singing through him, right? So when, as Sims, we need to be constantly capturing, as we were talking about, these brilliant streams of consciousness, understanding that, like, through the amplification of it in the metaverse, other people, like, we can actually like karmically impact even more lives than ever before.
Mhm.
And not only that, on some esoteric shit in the future, if there is some type of afterlife, like, we will be heavily rewarded too for being able to influence and change the direction of people's lives through an amplified algorithm.
And there's the multiplication of it. Like, we are helping the people we're helping directly, but we're also giving them the ability to go help another 100 people, and to get those 100 people to go help another 10 people. So there's this just beautiful. It's just beautiful. Like, it's, yes, what you're saying is right, and I agree with you 100%. Like, we are helping people change their lives in whatever way, whether it's a small scale and we choose to do it with 10 clients, or it's here in the metaverse and we help thousands of people. There's just that multiplication, as well as you never really know who it is on the other side of that webcam as well, and what they're going to do with it. And some people are doctors, you know, and are you know, trying to end a bad habit that they used to do whenever they were on the table, or it's people getting scholarships to be the next pro baseball player or the next future president. Like, you just never know
Or a
where the
guy in college
vibrations.
that wants to drop out, his parents are forcing him to stay in school,
Mhm.
you know?
And make $20 million before 25. Like, that's just the game,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you never know where those vibrations are going to go.
And that's
And
why it's important that it's the truth too, because
Mhm.
more than ever, you have the opposite happening, where people are purposely misrepresenting themselves, as we were speaking before, and they're putting out misinformation for their own profit, and then that's going and changing in hundreds of thousands of lives in negative directions.
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, when we speak, we want to make sure we speak the truth, and that's what we stand by. That's why we hold these spaces like this, because right now there's not a lot of that online. So
And if it really is a game of good and evil, there's a whole lot of evil out there. And so I want to be a truther. I want to be one of the good guys. And I think it's our time to shine.
yes, sir, awesome. Well, have a great night, man.
You as well, brother. Take it easy.
And we'll see this on YouTube. And yeah, this was amazing conversation, bro. This is probably the best space yet.
Oh, yeah, it was a lot of fun. This was great, man. It was great to chat.
Awesome. See you, man.
See you on the next.